My husband keeps bothering me about chores and work, and it's really getting on my nerves. Whenever I ask for something, he says mean things to me. I just wanted us to go through life together happily as a married couple. But if things stay like this, what's the point of being married? Just when I felt like there was no hope, my husband's behavior suddenly changed. I started to think maybe we could finally have the perfect married life I've always wanted. But I was wrong. I shouldn't have believed him. My name is Michelle Taylor, and I'm 43 years old. I met Edward a few years ago while he was on a business trip, and now we live together. We used to have a long-distance relationship where we had to fly to see each other because we were both so busy with work. But after dating for a few years, we finally got married. I'm going to make you happy for the rest of our lives, Edward said when he proposed to me. I never thought I could marry such a wonderful man. Back then, he was really friendly, and it seemed like a lot of women liked him. It might sound weird, but I felt really lucky that he chose me. Because of the distance, I moved to where he lived, and we started our life together as a married couple. But I couldn't just quit my job, so I found another company to work for. Why? Well, because Edward wasn't earning enough. Either his company didn't pay well, or he hadn't been promoted. I wasn't sure, but his salary was definitely too low. If I stopped working, we wouldn't have enough money to live on. At first, Edward wanted me to stay at home. But as we faced reality, he stopped talking about it. Even now, years later, it's the same. We both worked hard to make ends meet. But then something happened that changed everything. It was because of Edward's actions. He was really nice when we first got married. But as time went on, he started showing his true colors. It started with little things. Like, he wouldn't clean up after eating. Hey, can you clear the table when you're done? Oh yeah, sorry. He'd do it when I asked, but then he'd forget again a few days later. Can you take care of the dishes? Oh yeah. We had talked about sharing household chores before we got married, but once we were married, Edward hardly did any chores. He always had an excuse. I thought maybe he was just tired, so I didn't bug him about it. But if I'm honest, Edward finished work earlier than me, and it seemed like he had it pretty easy. He even said his job was easy. Meanwhile, my job was demanding and kept me busy almost every day. Dealing with Edward and managing work along with household chores was really tough. Couldn't he pitch in a bit? I reached my limit and decided to talk seriously with Edward. Hey, about the chores, could you maybe help out a bit more? I'm really exhausted. Suddenly, Edward's expression changed. You could see right away that he was annoyed. I get it, he said, his voice full of anger. Although I didn't bring it up then, I couldn't help but wonder why he was so defensive. After that day, Edward's behavior changed a lot. I knew why. I had asked him to help with the chores. Thinking about it now, maybe Edward just sees me as a convenient maid. One day, after finishing work as usual, I came home to the smell of alcohol in the air. Holding back my disgust, I went to the living room. When I opened the door, I found Edward lying on the couch surrounded by empty beer cans. I figured he probably didn't go to work. Hey, what's going on? Are you all right? I asked, approaching my seemingly drunk husband. But Edward, opening his shut eyes, glared at me. Ah, so annoying, he grumbled. Annoying? His response was clearly disdainful, and he shut his eyes again. But seeing him so lost in alcohol, I started to worry. Did he have a breakdown without me noticing? Did he turn to alcohol to escape? Hey, what's with all the alcohol? I asked. Edward snapped. I told you it's none of your business. Before I could say more, he got up and started yelling at me, slurring his words. He threw insults and stormed off to his room. I was just trying to show concern. Why was I being treated like this? Alone in the living room, I cleaned up the beer cans and snack wrappers Edward left behind. Then one day, laundry and dishes were scattered around, some broken, including my favorites. Given what happened, I knew Edward did it on purpose. I wanted to confront him, but he wasn't home, though he should have been done with work. Maybe he was out drinking. He trashed the place and left. It's so mean. I called Edward, but he didn't answer. I texted, and he replied quickly. I'm not coming home tonight. No explanation. What should I do? Should I just go along with Edward's behavior? Is this my fault? It feels hopeless. I thought I did the right thing. What could I have done differently? Lost in thought, I cleaned up the mess. Later, I noticed a scratch on the floor, a reminder of this day. The next day, as he promised, Edward came back, smelling of alcohol and unsteady on his feet. What were you doing? I was really worried, I said, frustrated that he didn't even greet me. What I do is none of your business, he replied. We're married, so of course it's my business. His attitude made me even more annoyed. Pressing him further, Edward gave me an irritated look and went to his room without a word. Oh dear, a sigh escaped me involuntarily. Did I really marry someone with such a difficult personality? Where did I go wrong? Tears started flowing as I thought about it. But I wasn't giving up. If I'm patient and keep facing my husband, maybe one day he'll understand how I feel. He might spend weekends with me or even help with chores. I'm not asking for much. Right now, I just want him to be in a good mood. With that hope, I tried to talk to Edward. How was work today? Tough day. Dinner tonight is meat and potatoes. But he didn't respond well. Ignoring me became routine. He'd click his tongue and give annoyed looks. Fixing our marriage seemed impossible with Edward acting like this. Lately, he wouldn't even touch the meals I made. Eventually, I started to rethink our relationship. Should we stay married like this? Would it be better to leave him alone? The more I thought, the more negative I became. I made one last plea to Edward. Please don't ignore me when I talk to you. Surprisingly, he seemed to understand and apologize. I'm sorry. I was surprised. I never expected him to apologize. Then he said, I'll help with the housework from now on. Really? Yeah, I've been thoughtless until now, he said, gently patting my head. It felt like it had been years. It seemed suspicious, considering his past behavior. It's natural to be skeptical, but I wanted to believe Edward had changed for the better, and I let myself hope. Afterward, he truly started helping around the house. Laundry, cooking, cleaning, sometimes everything was done before I got home. I never knew Edward could cook. Sitting down in front of my beaming husband, we shared meals together. He also put more effort into his job. He used to avoid overtime, but now he mentioned studying for certifications and often stayed late. How's work going lately? I asked. It's going well, Edward replied with a smile. Our time together increased, feeling like the honeymoon phase again. But one thing bothered me. Despite claiming overtime, there was no extra pay. Since Edward never did overtime before, it was puzzling. Aren't you getting paid for overtime? I asked. He said, Oh, it's for independent study. I did request overtime pay. Oh, really? I'd like him to claim it for the extra money, but I'm not familiar with his company's policies. For now, I decided to trust Edward's decision. However, I would later regret fully accepting his changes. One day, my business trip was confirmed. I would be away from home for work. Before, my business trips were shorter, but this time it's for a whole week. Excitement, anxiety, and loneliness all grew within me. When I told Bob about the trip, his reaction surprised me. A business trip? How many days? Usually he's not very interested when I mention business trips and never asks how long I'll be away. But this time, he showed interest and even asked about the duration. It seems Bob is genuinely trying to prioritize our home life. With that thought, I felt grateful to have married him. I think it's going to be a week from the week after next. Oh, okay, the week after next then. Bob started checking his calendar on his smartphone. I'm not sure about the details, but he seems busier than before. I wondered if he's become busier at work or perhaps more relied upon. Got it. Be careful. Okay. Yeah, thanks. We had these conversations, and on the morning of the trip, I explained various household things to Bob. Thinking he had finally understood, I briefed him on the discount store, ironing techniques, and where to find daily necessities to make things easier for him. Well, I'm off now. Call me if anything comes up. All right, thank you. With that, I headed for my business trip. That evening, when I returned to my hotel after work, I received an unusual message from Bob. How's work going? It's going well. After some casual chit-chat, I sent him a goodnight message and set my phone aside. I couldn't help but wonder if everything was okay with Bob. Was he feeling lonely all by himself? With these thoughts, I continued preparing for work. About a week later, I finished my tasks and started heading home. Luckily, I finished a day earlier than planned. If no last-minute work comes up, I'll have tomorrow off. Feeling happy on my way back, I thought about cooking dinner and stopped by the supermarket. What should I cook? Curry, stew. Then I realized we might be out of oil, and it dawned on me that I hadn't informed Bob about my early return. Would he be surprised if I just showed up? I texted Bob to check if we had oil at home and to let him know that my business trip had ended early and I was on my way home. However, even after circling the supermarket, there was no reply from Bob. Was he still working? Doing overtime? Deciding not to disturb him further, I picked up a bottle of oil, thinking it's always good to have some extra. While heading home after shopping, Bob called. "Hey, are you coming home now? Where are you?" For some reason, he sounded panicked. Was something wrong? Yeah, I'm in the apartment elevator right now. Bob hung up without saying anything else. What's happening? Worried, I hurried to our apartment. "I'm home, Edward. Are you okay?" I called out, but there was no answer. Just as I was taking off my shoes and heading inside, my husband rushed out of the living room and collapsed in front of me. "Are you okay? It's hard to breathe. Call an ambulance," he said, grabbing my hand. I dialed 911 quickly. Within minutes, the ambulance arrived. I let the paramedics in, and they checked on my husband. "Will he be okay? What's going to happen?" While watching and worrying, I noticed something strange. There were a pair of women's shoes I didn't recognize. Obviously, they weren't the paramedics or mine. I felt a tightness in my chest. Glancing at the living room window, I saw a women's lingerie hanging there. Could it be? Is Edward having an affair? Looking back, he did seem very panicked when I called. Maybe he was trying to hide it. I cautiously scanned the house, pretending to prepare for my husband's hospital visit to avoid suspicion. Living room, restroom, kitchen, no sign of her. If her shoes are here, she must be around, unless she escaped through a window. Finally, in the bathroom, I see a light on and a silhouette. I open the door and look at the bathtub. I can't believe what's in front of me. I wish I had been mistaken about the shoes and the lingerie. I head back to the front door. The conversation with the paramedics goes like this. "You're his family, right? Please come with us." "I'm sorry, there's been a mistake." The paramedics sound shocked. Edward too lets out a surprised sound. Ignoring them, I bring the woman from the bathroom to the front door. "This woman is family, she'll come with us." Wait a minute, the woman gets flustered. Edward seems shocked too, and suddenly sits up with force. "You." The paramedics quickly try to calm down Edward, but he seems fine. "What do you think?" "Well, he doesn't seem to be in critical condition." In the end, it's decided that Edward doesn't need immediate medical attention, but if he feels unwell again, he should go to the hospital. The room falls silent after the paramedics leave. So, what's going on here? I sit both Edward and the woman down and demand an explanation. At first, they look uncomfortable and remain silent. But as I continue to stare silently, they seem to give in. Edward speaks up. "I'm sorry for the misunderstanding. She's a colleague from work. We're close, but there's nothing going on." Following Edward, the colleague chimes in. "That's right. We were just having a meeting here. There's nothing going on, I promise. Now, can you explain this? Do you need to take a bath for a meeting? Do you need to dry your underwear too?" I gesture to the underwear hanging in the living room. The two exchange uneasy glances, appearing troubled. I see through their facade. "If you have time to come up with a strange excuse, just tell me the truth." I press them. Edward looks up, his expression heavy with guilt, and finally spills everything. "I'm really sorry. I know sorry isn't enough." "So, you've been lying about working late?" It turns out Edward had developed a close relationship with his colleague Kate. After we got married, he started cheating because I kept nagging him about household chores. But when Kate praised men who do chores, Edward started working late to meet her. I noticed the smug look on Kate's face. That explains the lack of overtime pay and his supposed certifications. It was all a facade. "I understand what you're thinking. Let's just end it with a divorce," I declared. "Please go ahead and be with her." I was so fed up that divorce seemed like the only solution. It wasn't a threat. The deception I had endured had become unbearable. But Edward wouldn't hear of it. "Divorce? That's not the answer," he insisted. "If you had told me you were coming home, none of this would have happened." "Yeah, it's not fair to come home unannounced." They both chimed in. Had I been deceived by my husband's facade all this time? The realization left me feeling pathetic. "Ma'am, look, Edward really regrets it." Kate tried to calm me down. "You don't truly want a divorce, do you? You're just blaming me for his cheating," she accused. "Enough is enough. Let's get a divorce," I shouted, and they both recoiled. I hoped they would reflect on their actions and words. Afterward, I hired a lawyer and began preparing for divorce proceedings to claim my share of the assets. Edward kept calling, and even his parents reached out. They were understanding, and upon hearing my side, they apologized and agreed to support me in the divorce. Eventually, after likely talking to Edward, he appeared exhausted during the divorce proceedings and agreed to it without resistance. I reported Edward and Kate's affair to their company. Following the divorce, John and Kate, both employed at the same company, were quickly exposed for their affair. They faced ostracism from colleagues and seemed to lose their standing within the company. Additionally, they became the subject of gossip among talkative older women, and even clients began discussing it. Unable to endure the toxic environment, they resigned from their jobs. I'm uncertain if they married, but they likely faced financial strain. If they did marry, I can imagine them arguing over money. I promptly moved to a new, more comfortable and affordable apartment. Reflecting, I recall choosing the old place to accommodate John's preferences. As I return home, I exhale a sigh of relief, grateful that chapter of my life has closed. Since the divorce, I've dedicated myself more to work, leading to significant improvements in my performance and a subsequent raise. While initially made in anger, the decision to divorce now brings me a sense of liberation. With this in mind, I enjoy my favorite tea, preparing for what tomorrow may bring.
The champagne in my glass hadn't even gone flat when my entire world shattered. I stood there in my navy cocktail dress, watching my fiancé of 3 years kiss my cousin against the kitchen counter of what was supposed to be our engagement party. My name is Daphne, and this is how I learned that happiness can turn to ash in your mouth faster than you can say, "I trusted you." "Oh my God," I whispered, the glass slipping from my fingers. The crash drew their attention, and Gunnar jumped away from Olivia like he'd been burned. The look on his face, guilt mixed with relief, told me everything I needed to know. "Daphne, wait," Gunnar called out as I turned to leave. "It's not what you think." "Really?" I spun around, my voice steadier than I felt. "Because it looks like you were just making out with my cousin at our engagement party." Olivia didn't even have the decency to look ashamed. She just stood there, straightening her red dress, a slight smirk playing at the corners of her mouth. The same mouth I'd just watched pressed against my fiancé's. "Someone had to show him what he was missing," Olivia said, her voice dripping with false sympathy. "You can't honestly think you were enough for him, Daphne." The party chatter from the living room seemed to fade away as blood rushed to my ears. Elise, my best friend, appeared in the doorway, probably wondering where I'd disappeared to. "What's going on?" she asked, taking in the scene, the broken glass, my trembling hands, Gunnar's guilty face, and Olivia's triumphant smile. "Ask them," I managed to say. "They seem to have it all figured out." Gunnar stepped forward, reaching for my arm. "Daphne, please, we need to talk about this." I jerked away from his touch. "Talk about what? How long has this been going on?" The silence that followed was answer enough. "Daph," Olivia said, using the nickname she knew I hated. "You should thank me, really. Better to find out now than after the wedding, right?" Elise moved to stand between us. "You need to leave, both of you, now." "It's my house too," Gunnar protested weakly. I laughed, the sound hollow and strange. "Not anymore, it's not. I'll have my things out by tomorrow." "Don't be dramatic," Olivia sighed. "We all knew this would happen eventually. Gunnar and we just connect on a different level." The party guests had gone quiet, and I realized we had an audience. Austin, our family friend, appeared in the doorway, concern etched on his face. "What's going on here?" he asked, though his expression suggested he already knew. "Just the death of a relationship," I said, pulling the engagement ring off my finger. "And a family bond." I placed the ring on the counter, the diamond catching the light one last time. "Congratulations, Olivia. I hope you're happy with my leftovers." Gunnar flinched. "Daphne, that's not fair." "Fair?" I cut him off. "Was it fair when you were sneaking around with my cousin? Was it fair when you let me plan this party, knowing you were going to humiliate me?" Ava, my other bridesmaid, pushed through the crowd and grabbed my hand. "Come on, Daphne, let's get out of here." As we moved toward the door, Olivia called out, "Don't worry, cousin. I'll take good care of him." I stopped, turned, and met her eyes. "You know what, Olivia? You two deserve each other." The night air hit my face as we stepped outside, and I finally let the tears fall. Elise and Ava flanked me, their presence the only thing keeping me upright. "My car's around the corner," Elise said softly. "You're staying with me tonight." "I can't believe they would do this," Ava muttered, her arm around my waist. I wiped my eyes, smearing mascara across my cheeks. I can. Olivia's always wanted what I have. I just never thought Gunnar would. He's an idiot, Elise declared. And she's a snake. You're better off without both of them. As we drove away from the house I'd shared with Gunnar, I watched our engagement party dissolve into chaos in the rearview mirror. My phone buzzed with messages, probably from Gunnar, maybe from Olivia, definitely from concerned guests, but I ignored them all. I'm going to be okay, I said, more to myself than to my friends. Of course you are, Ava replied firmly. You're the strongest person we know. Looking out the window at the city lights blurring past, I made a silent promise to myself. I would rebuild my life, piece by piece, and I would do it without letting bitterness consume me. Gunnar and Olivia might have taken my trust, my love, and my family peace, but they wouldn't take my future, not if I had anything to say about it. 2 years can change everything. I realized this as I stood in front of my office building, coffee in hand, actually looking forward to the day ahead. The morning sun felt different now, warmer, more promising. There's my favorite editor, Elise called out, crossing the street to meet me. Ready for the pitch meeting? Born ready, I replied, pushing through the revolving doors. The new lifestyle section is going to be amazing. The elevator ride to the 14th floor gave me a moment to appreciate how far I'd come. After the engagement disaster, I'd thrown myself into work, climbing from junior editor to department head in record time. Did you hear about Gunnar? Elise asked hesitantly as we stepped into the hallway. My stomach didn't drop at his name anymore. Progress. No, what about him? Olivia posted their breakup all over social media. Apparently, she caught him texting his ex. I couldn't help but laugh. Karma's a patient lady. The conference room was already filling up when we arrived. I took my usual seat, spreading out my notes, when an unfamiliar voice caught my attention. Is this seat taken? I looked up to find myself staring into the warmest brown eyes I'd ever seen. The man attached to them wasn't hard on the eyes either. It's all yours, I managed, moving my bag. I'm Elliot, he said, settling in beside me. New investigative journalist, first day. Daphne, lifestyle section editor, welcome aboard. The meeting flew by, but I caught Elliot glancing my way several times. When our boss announced we'd be partnering on a series about modern relationships, I felt a flutter of excitement I hadn't experienced in years. After the meeting, Elliot caught up with me in the break room. So, partner, how about we discuss our article over coffee? We're literally holding coffee right now, I pointed out, smiling. I meant real coffee. The kind that doesn't come from an office machine and actually tastes like something other than regret. I hesitated, old fears creeping in. Elise, who had been pretending not to eavesdrop, suddenly appeared. She'd love to, she announced. Daphne hasn't had decent coffee in ages. Traitor, I muttered, but couldn't hide my smile. Perfect, Elliot grinned. There's a great place around the corner, shall we? The cafe was cozy, with mismatched furniture and the smell of fresh pastries. We claimed a small table by the window, and conversation flowed easier than I expected. So, Elliot said, stirring his Americano, what made you choose lifestyle journalism? I like helping people navigate life's messier moments. Sometimes the right article at the right time can change someone's whole perspective. Speaking from experience? I paused, considering how much to share. Let's just say I know what it's like to need guidance during tough times. Fair enough, he nodded, not pushing further. I specialize in exposing truth. There's something satisfying about bringing hidden stories to light. My phone buzzed, a text from Ava. Olivia's looking for your new number. Says she wants to apologize. Should I give it to her? Everything okay? Elliot asked, noticing my frown. Just family drama, I replied, quickly typing, absolutely not, to Ava. Ah, the best kind of drama, he smiled. Want to talk about it? Maybe another time. Right now, I'd rather hear about this series we're working on. We spent the next hour brainstorming ideas, our coffee growing cold as we got lost in conversation. Elliot's passion for his work was infectious, and I found myself opening up more than I had in months. We should probably head back, I said reluctantly, noticing the time. Probably, he agreed, but neither of us moved. Listen, Daphne, would you like to get dinner sometime? Not for work? Just us? The question hung in the air, and for a moment I saw Gunner's face, heard Olivia's mocking laugh. But looking at Elliot's honest expression, I realized something. I wasn't afraid anymore. I'd like that, I said softly. Back at the office, Elise was waiting at my desk. Well, how was coffee with the cute new guy? Professional, I said, trying to keep a straight face. Completely professional. Liar, she grinned. You're glowing. I am not. My phone buzzed again. This time it was Austin. Heard about Gunner and Olivia. You okay? I typed back, never better, actually. Life has a funny way of working out. Want to know the best part? Elise leaned in conspiratorially. Elliot's been asking about you all morning. Apparently he spotted you in the lobby last week and has been trying to figure out how to meet you ever since. I felt a warmth spread through my chest that had nothing to do with coffee. Sometimes the best things in life come when you're busy rebuilding yourself, when you're not looking for them at all. And sometimes, just sometimes, they come with really great coffee. Did you hear what she's saying about you? Ava burst into my apartment, waving her phone. I was in the middle of getting ready for my third date with Elliot, carefully applying mascara. Who's saying what? I asked, though I already knew. Olivia had been unusually active on social media lately. Your cousin is telling everyone you're unstable. She's saying you had a breakdown after Gunner left and that's why you got promoted, because people felt sorry for you. I set down the mascara, taking a deep breath. Of course she is. That's not all, Ava continued, pacing. She's been talking to your Aunt Helen, spreading rumors about how you're trying to sabotage her relationship with Gunner even though they broke up. My phone lit up with a text from Elliot. On my way. Can't wait to see you. Let her talk, I said, smoothing my dress. Anyone who matters knows the truth. But Daphne... The doorbell rang and Ava's eyes widened. Is that him? The journalist? I opened the door to find Elliot holding a bouquet of sunflowers. His smile faltered slightly when he saw Ava. I hope I'm not interrupting, he said. Not at all, I replied, taking the flowers. Elliot, this is Ava, my friend and occasional drama messenger. Ava, this is Elliot. Nice to meet you, Ava said, studying him. Treat her right or you'll have me to deal with. Noted, Elliot laughed. Though from what I've seen, Daphne's pretty capable of handling herself. As I put the flowers in water, my phone buzzed again. This time it was Austin. Heads up, Olivia's telling people she's going to crash your department's charity gala next week. Says she has proof about something. Everything okay? Elliot asked, noticing my expression. Just my cousin being... my cousin, I sighed. She's threatening to cause trouble at the gala. The one we're covering for the paper? Elliot's journalist instincts seemed to kick in. What kind of trouble? Who knows? She's probably just trying to get attention now that Gunner's gone. Ava grabbed her purse. I'll leave you two to your date, but call me if you need anything. And Daphne, don't let her win. After she left, Elliot and I headed to the restaurant, a cozy Italian place he'd picked. Over pasta, he asked the question I'd been dreading. So, want to tell me about this cousin of yours? I twirled spaghetti around my fork. It's complicated. I'm good with complicated, he said softly. And I'm a pretty good listener. So I told him everything. About Gunner, the engagement party, Olivia's betrayal. As I spoke, I noticed him taking mental notes, his reporter's instinct showing. And now she's spreading rumors? He asked. That's what she does. She can't stand that I'm happy without them. Elliot reached across the table, taking my hand. You know, as a journalist, I've covered a lot of stories about people like your cousin. They usually end up exposing themselves. What do you mean? People who constantly need to create drama eventually slip up. They get sloppy. Just then, my phone lit up with a series of notifications. Olivia had tagged me in several posts, each one more ridiculous than the last. Look at this, I showed Elliot. She's claiming I'm obsessed with her and Gunner, that I'm stalking them online. We're not even connected on social media anymore. Elliot scrolled through the posts, his expression thoughtful. You know, this could be useful. Useful how? Every post, every lie, every attempt to hurt you, it's all documented. If she tries anything at the gala, we'll have proof of her pattern of behavior, I finished, understanding dawning. Exactly. Sometimes the best revenge is just letting someone dig their own grave. I looked at him, really looked at him, and felt something click into place. You're pretty smart, you know that. I try, he smiled. Now, about this gala, would you like to be my date? Officially? Officially? I raised an eyebrow. As opposed to? As opposed to just being my colleague who happens to be wearing a fancy dress and standing next to me all night. I laughed, feeling lighter than I had in days. I'd love to be your date. As we left the restaurant, hand in hand, I checked my phone one last time. Another message from Austin. Whatever Olivia's planning, be careful. She seems different lately, desperate. Elliot squeezed my hand. Everything okay? I looked up at him, at his concerned expression, and made a decision. I wasn't going to let Olivia's toxicity poison this too. Everything's perfect, I said. And for the first time in a long time, I meant it. Let Olivia plot and scheme. I had something better, something real, and no amount of rumors could take that away. 6 months with Elliot felt like a lifetime and a heartbeat all at once. We were curled up on his couch, takeout containers scattered on the coffee table, when he suddenly muted the movie we were watching. Move in with me, he said. No preamble, just pure Elliot directness. I sat up, heart racing. What? Move in with me, he repeated, turning to face me. Half your clothes are already here. You have a toothbrush in my bathroom, and I hate waking up in a bed without you in it. That's quite a proposal, I teased, then froze as his eyes widened. I mean, not a proposal, just a... What if it was? He interrupted. A proposal, I mean. The world seemed to stop. Elliot, he slid off the couch onto one knee, pulling a small box from his pocket. I've been carrying this around for weeks, waiting for the perfect moment. But sitting here with you, eating leftover Chinese food and watching bad movies, this is perfect. This is us. Tears welled up in my eyes as he opened the box, revealing a simple but stunning emerald ring. Daphne, will you... My phone erupted in a series of aggressive buzzes, breaking the moment. Olivia's name flashed on the screen, along with multiple text notifications. How did she get my number? I muttered. Don't answer it, Elliot said, still on one knee. I'm kind of in the middle of something here. But the texts kept coming. Finally, I glanced at them. You think you're so clever? I know what your precious Elliot's been doing. He's been investigating me, hasn't he? You're both going to regret this. Elliot read the messages over my shoulder, his jaw tightening. She's right about one thing. I have been investigating her. What do you mean? He set the ring box on the coffee table and pulled out his laptop. Remember all those work meetings I've been having? I've been gathering evidence of her harassment, her lies, everything. I was going to surprise you with it at the gala next week. You've been investigating my cousin? I stood up, pacing. Why didn't you tell me? Because I needed your genuine reactions. If she suspected you knew, she'd be more careful, I finished. Show me what you found. Elliot opened a folder filled with screenshots, recordings, and witness statements. There were messages from Gunnar to mutual friends about Olivia's obsessive behavior, evidence of her creating fake social media accounts to harass me, even footage of her trying to get into my office building. She's been stalking me, I whispered. And more. She's been telling people she's engaged to Gunnar even though they broke up months ago. She's been sending threatening messages to anyone who's friendly with you. She's spiraling, Daphne. My phone buzzed again. This time it was Elise. Olivia just showed up at the office asking for your home address. Security turned her away, but be careful. I should have told you sooner, Elliot said, taking my hands. But I wanted to protect you, to give you concrete proof that you're not the crazy one here. I looked at the ring box on the table, then back at him. Ask me again. What? Ask me again. The question you were trying to ask before. He smiled, understanding dawning. Getting back down on one knee, he picked up the box. Daphne, will you marry me? Yes, I said without hesitation. Yes, I will. As he slipped the ring onto my finger, my phone lit up with another message from Olivia. "You'll never be happy. I won't let you." "Should we be worried?" I asked, showing Elliot the message. "No," he said firmly. "We have everything documented. If she tries anything at the gala, we'll be ready," I finished. He pulled me close, kissing my forehead. "I promise you, this time around, your engagement story will have a much better ending." "It already does," I said, looking at my ring. "It has you in it." We spent the rest of the evening planning, not just our future together, but how to handle Olivia at the gala. As much as I wanted to announce our engagement, we decided to keep it quiet until after the event. "Let her show her hand first," Elliot suggested. "Then we'll show ours." Looking at the evidence he'd gathered, I felt a mix of emotions. Sadness for the cousin I'd once loved, anger at her betrayal, but mostly gratitude for the man who'd gone to such lengths to protect me. "I love you," I said simply. "I love you too," he replied. "And Daphne, this time no one's going to take your happiness away, I promise." As we settled back onto the couch, my new ring catching the light, I believed him. This time was different. This time, I wasn't just in love. I was stronger, wiser, and most importantly, I wasn't alone. Let Olivia try her worst. We were ready. The day before the gala, Austin called me for coffee. His expression was grave as he stirred his latte, and I knew something was wrong before he even spoke. "Olivia came to see me yesterday," he said, leaning forward. "She's not well, Daphne. She's convinced herself that you and Gunnar are having some secret affair." I nearly choked on my coffee. "What?" She showed me evidence, doctored photos, fake text messages. She's planning to expose it all at the gala tomorrow night. "But that's insane," I protested. "I haven't even spoken to Gunnar since—" "I know," Austin interrupted. "We all know. But Olivia's lost touch with reality. She's been calling everyone in the family, trying to turn them against you." My phone buzzed, a text from Elliot. "Found something big. Meet me at the office ASAP." "I have to go," I told Austin, standing up. "But thank you for warning me." "Be careful," he called after me. "She's not the same person we used to know." At the office, Elliot was waiting with his laptop open. Elise and Ava had joined him, both looking concerned. "Show her," Ava urged. Elliot turned the screen toward me. "Olivia's been busy. She's created a whole website dedicated to exposing you. Look at the domain registration date." "The day after we got engaged," I whispered. "She must have been watching us," Elise said. "Following you." "That's not all," Elliot continued, pulling up more documents. "She's been sending anonymous threats to the gala venue, trying to get it canceled. When that didn't work, she bought a ticket under a fake name." "And Gunnar?" I asked. "Does he know what she's doing?" Ava pulled out her phone. "He just posted this an hour ago." It was a public statement from Gunnar. "To address the rumors, I am not in a relationship with either Olivia or Daphne. Any claims otherwise are false. Please respect my privacy during this time." "She's going to crash and burn," Elise said softly, "and she's going to try to take you down with her." My engagement ring felt heavy on the chain around my neck, where I'd been hiding it. "So what do we do?" Elliot smiled grimly. "We let her try. I've arranged for everything to be recorded tomorrow night. Every accusation, every lie, it'll all be documented." "But that's not all," Ava added. "We've got your back. The whole team will be there." Just then my phone rang, Olivia's number. I put it on speaker. "Hello, cousin?" Her voice dripped with false sweetness. "Ready for tomorrow night?" "What do you want, Olivia?" "Just checking in, making sure you're prepared for your big exposé. You know, you really should have been more careful with your secret meetings with Gunnar." "There were no secret meetings," I said firmly. "You need help, Olivia." She laughed, the sound brittle and sharp. "Oh, I'm not the one who needs help. By the way, that emerald ring looks lovely on you. Green was always your color." The line went dead. I instinctively grabbed the chain around my neck. "She's been watching us," Elliot said, his face dark. "For how long?" "Long enough," Elise replied. "But we can use that. If she's been stalking you—" "It adds to the evidence," Ava finished. "Makes our case stronger." I sank into a chair, the weight of everything hitting me. I never wanted this, any of this. Elliot knelt beside me. I know, but tomorrow night it ends, one way or another. We should post security at all the entrances, Elise suggested, already making calls, and have someone monitoring the security feeds. I'll handle that, Ava volunteered. My brother works for the venue's security team. As they planned, I felt a strange calm settle over me. This wasn't just about me anymore. It was about stopping Olivia before she hurt anyone else. Tomorrow night, I said, standing up, we end this, but we do it my way. No stooping to her level. What's the plan? Elliot asked. I pulled the ring out from under my shirt, letting it catch the light. We let her make her accusations. Let her show everyone exactly who she is. And then we show them who you are, Elise finished, smiling. As we finalized the details, my phone lit up with one last text from Olivia. Hope you're ready for the performance of a lifetime. I looked at my team, my fiancé, my friends, my support system, and typed back, break a leg, cousin. You're going to need it. Tomorrow night couldn't come soon enough. The stage was set, the players were ready, and this time, I wasn't the one who would be blindsided. Let the show begin. The gala ballroom sparkled with champagne glasses and evening gowns, but all I could focus on was the ticking time bomb in my chest. Elliot squeezed my hand as we entered, his other hand holding a small USB drive that contained everything we needed. She's here, Ava whispered through my earpiece. Northwest corner, red dress. She's already had 3 glasses of champagne. Security's in position, Elliot murmured. Just stay calm and stick to the plan. I spotted Olivia across the room, her red dress a slash of color against the muted evening wear. She was talking intensely to Austin, who caught my eye and gave a subtle nod. Ladies and gentlemen, our editor-in-chief announced from the podium, welcome to our annual charity gala. She's moving, Elise's voice crackled in my ear. Heading toward the stage, I watched as Olivia weaved through the crowd, clutching her phone like a weapon. The editor was just finishing his speech when she reached the steps. Excuse me, Olivia called out, her voice carrying across the room. I have something to say. The crowd murmured as she climbed onto the stage. Our editor-in-chief looked confused but stepped aside, exactly as we'd planned. Many of you know my cousin Daphne, Olivia started, her words slightly slurred. What you don't know is what she's been hiding. Elliot pressed a button on his phone, and the large projection screen behind Olivia came to life. You see, Olivia continued, pulling up her own phone, I have proof of her affair with my fiancé, Gunnar. Ex-fiancé, a familiar voice cut through the crowd. Gunnar stepped forward, looking uncomfortable but determined. We broke up months ago, Olivia. You need to stop this. No, she snapped. I have the messages, the photos. The projection screen suddenly filled with images, but not the ones Olivia had planned to show. Instead, there were screenshots of her threatening messages, security footage of her following me, evidence of her harassment. What is this? She spun around, facing the screen. No, this isn't. I had different pictures. You mean these pictures? Elliot stepped forward, projecting a series of clearly photoshopped images. The ones you created to frame Daphne? The crowd gasped as evidence of Olivia's deception played out on the screen. Her fake social media accounts, her doctored evidence, her increasingly unstable messages, all of it exposed. You, she pointed at Elliot, swaying slightly. You did this. You've been spying on me. No, Olivia, I said, walking toward the stage. You did this to yourself. Every threat, every lie, every attempt to hurt me, you documented it all yourself. Liar, she screamed, lunging for me. Security guards appeared instantly, gently but firmly restraining her. I have one more thing to show everyone, Elliot announced, clicking to the final slide. It was a video compilation of Olivia's recent behavior, trying to break into my office, harassing my colleagues, even her confrontation with Austin yesterday, where she'd threatened to destroy me. This isn't fair, Olivia sobbed, all pretense crumbling. You stole everything from me. Gunnar was supposed to be mine. I didn't steal anything, I said softly. You betrayed me, remember? At my engagement party? And then you moved on. Gunnar added, stepping closer. You told everyone we were still together, but you're the one who ended things. The room had gone silent, watching the scene unfold. Olivia looked around wildly, seeking allies, but finding none. Security will escort you out now, our editor-in-chief said firmly. And Olivia, consider this a restraining order warning. As the guards led her away, she turned back one last time. This isn't over, Daphne. You'll see. Actually, it is over, Elliot interrupted, pulling me close. And we have something to announce. I reached for the chain around my neck, finally pulling out my engagement ring. The crowd's attention shifted as I slipped it onto my finger. You're engaged? Elise exclaimed, playing her part perfectly. When did this happen? Recently, I smiled, looking at Elliot. We were waiting for the right moment to announce it. The room erupted in applause and congratulations, the ugly scene with Olivia already fading into background chatter. Austin approached us, shaking his head. That was quite a show, he said. Are you okay? Better than okay, I replied, leaning into Elliot's embrace. It's finally over. As the gala returned to its celebratory atmosphere, I caught a glimpse of Olivia being escorted to a taxi outside. For a moment, I felt a twinge of sadness for the cousin I'd once loved. Don't, Elliot whispered, reading my expression. You gave her every chance. He was right. Sometimes the kindest thing you can do is let toxic people face the consequences of their actions. As I turned back to the party, to my friends and my future husband, I felt lighter than I had in years. The truth had finally set me free. The morning after the gala, my phone wouldn't stop ringing. News of Olivia's meltdown had spread through our family like wildfire. I was having breakfast with Elliot when Aunt Helen called for the third time. You should probably answer it, Elliot said, sliding more coffee my way. She'll keep calling. I picked up the phone. Hi, Aunt Helen. Daphne, her voice cracked. I owe you an apology. We all do. We believed her lies about you, and I'm so ashamed. It's okay, I said, but she cut me off. No, it's not okay. Olivia showed up at my house last night after the gala. She wasn't herself. We had to call for help. My stomach dropped. What kind of help? Medical help. She's being evaluated at Memorial Hospital. The doctors think she's having some kind of breakdown. Elliot reached across the table, taking my free hand as I processed this information. There's more, Aunt Helen continued. Gunnar's here. He wants to talk to you. Before I could protest, Gunnar's voice came through the phone. Daphne, can we meet? Please? There are things you need to know. I looked at Elliot, who nodded encouragingly. The coffee shop on 7th, 1 hour, I said, then hung up. Want me to come with you? Elliot asked. No, I need to do this alone, but stay close. He kissed my forehead. Always. An hour later, I sat across from Gunnar, 2 untouched coffees between us. He looked tired, older somehow. I should have told you sooner, he started, about Olivia's behavior after our breakup, the stalking, the threats, the lies she told everyone. Why didn't you? Why didn't... Shame, mostly. I was embarrassed that I'd left you for... that. He ran his hands through his hair. She started getting possessive, controlling. When I tried to end things, she threatened to hurt herself. And you believed her? At first. Then I realized she was manipulating me. But by then she'd already started telling everyone we were still together. When I met someone new, she went ballistic. My phone buzzed, a text from Elise. Olivia's being transferred to a psychiatric facility, family only allowed to visit. I saw the videos Elliot collected, Gunnar continued. The way she followed you, harassed you. I should have warned you. Yes, you should have, I agreed. But that's not why you wanted to meet, is it? He pulled out his phone, showing me a series of threatening messages from Olivia. She sent these last night after the gala. She's planning something for your wedding day. I thought you should know. I read the messages, each one more disturbing than the last. Threats to expose the truth, promises of revenge, increasingly unstable ramblings. She won't be able to do anything, I said. She's getting help now. Don't underestimate her, Gunnar warned. I did, and look what happened. Just then, Austin rushed into the coffee shop looking frantic. Daphne, you need to see this. He held up his tablet, showing Olivia's social media page. She'd somehow posted from the hospital, a long, rambling post about how she'd been set up at the gala, how she had real evidence she'd reveal at my wedding. She's not giving up, Gunnar said quietly. My phone rang. Elliot. Are you seeing this? He asked when I answered. Yeah, Austin just showed me. I'm calling in some favors at the paper. We're going to get a restraining order, make sure she can't get near the wedding. Gunnar stood up. I should go, but Daphne, I really am sorry, for everything. After he left, Austin sat down in his place. The family's in shock. No one knew how bad it had gotten. I did, I said. I just didn't want to believe it. My phone buzzed again, Ava this time. Security at the hospital says Olivia's demanding her phone be returned. She's getting aggressive. What are you going to do? Austin asked. I looked at my engagement ring, thinking about Elliot, about our future. We're going to have our wedding, and if Olivia tries anything, she'll have to get through all of us first, Austin finished. Back home, Elliot was waiting with takeout and a determined expression. I talked to the paper's lawyers. The restraining order will be ready tomorrow. Thank you, I said, curling into his arms. For everything. Hey, he tilted my chin up. We're in this together. Whatever she tries, we'll handle it. As we sat there, my phone kept lighting up with messages of support from family and friends. Each one a reminder that I wasn't alone anymore, that love was stronger than hate. Our wedding will be perfect, Elliot promised, because we'll be together. He was right. Let Olivia plot and scheme from her hospital bed. This time I had truth on my side, and truth, as they say, is the best defense. Are you ready? Elise asked, adjusting my veil. Through the church's window, I could see guests arriving, security guards discreetly positioned at every entrance. More than ready, I smiled, touching the emerald ring that would soon have a companion. Security checked everyone coming in, Ava reported, rushing into the bridal suite. No sign of Olivia. She's still in the facility, Austin added, poking his head in. I just spoke with Aunt Helen. They've increased her supervision after she tried to leave yesterday. My phone buzzed one last time before I'd have to turn it off for the ceremony. It was a message from Gunnar. She's safe and supervised. I'm making sure of it. Be happy, Daphne. You deserve it. Time to go, Elise announced, taking my phone. No more drama. This is your moment. The church doors opened, and my father took my arm. The familiar wedding march began, but this time, everything felt different. Right. Elliot waited at the altar, his face lighting up as I appeared. Our guests stood, smiling, supportive. Family and friends who'd stood by us through everything. Halfway down the aisle, a commotion erupted near the back doors. My heart stopped for a moment, but it was just a late guest dropping their program. The security guards didn't even flinch. You okay? My father whispered. Perfect, I replied and meant it. Elliot took my hands as I reached him, his thumbs brushing over my knuckles in that familiar, comforting way. Dearly beloved, the officiant began, but was interrupted by the church doors bursting open. Everyone turned, expecting Olivia, but instead it was Aunt Helen, looking flustered but relieved. Sorry I'm late, she whispered loudly, sliding into a pew. I had to make sure everything was taken care of. I caught her meaningful look and understood. She'd stayed at the facility until the last possible moment, ensuring Olivia couldn't interfere. The ceremony continued, and when Elliot said his vows, his voice was steady and sure. Daphne, you showed me what real strength looks like, how to face darkness with grace and emerge stronger. I promise to stand beside you through whatever life brings, to protect our happiness and to love you more each day. My own vows came easily. Elliot, you came into my life when I'd lost faith in love. You showed me that true partnership means facing challenges together. I promise to cherish our happiness, to fight for our future, and to love you completely. As we exchanged rings, my emerald engagement ring now paired with a simple gold band, I felt the last shadows of the past fade away. I now pronounce you husband and wife, the officiant declared. You may kiss the bride. Elliot pulled me close. And in that kiss was every promise we'd made, every obstacle we'd overcome. At the reception, Austin clinked his glass for the toast. To Daphne and Elliot, proof that love doesn't just survive adversity, it thrives on it. And to family, the ones we're born with and the ones we choose. Elise followed with her own toast. As Daphne's best friend, I watched her rebuild herself from heartbreak. Elliot, you didn't just love her. You understood her strength, supported her growth, and helped her find justice. You're the partner she deserves. During our first dance, Elliot whispered, "Look around. Everyone here chose to support our love story." He was right. The room was filled with people who'd helped us get here. Ava, who'd coordinated security. Austin, who'd bridged family divides. Elise, who'd never left my side. Even Gunnar, who'd finally done the right thing. As the night went on, my phone remained silent. No dramatic interruptions, no threats, no chaos, just love, laughter, and celebration. "Ready to go?" Elliot asked as the reception wound down. Our honeymoon flight would leave in a few hours. "Almost," I said, pulling him aside. "I need to tell you something first." His eyes widened as I whispered in his ear, then he broke into a brilliant smile. "Really? You're sure?" "Found out yesterday," I grinned. "Wanted to wait until we were married to tell you." He pulled me close, his hand resting protectively over my still flat stomach. "A new chapter," he murmured. "The best one yet," I agreed. As we said our goodbyes and headed for the exit, rose petals raining down, I realized something profound. Olivia hadn't just failed to destroy my happiness. She'd inadvertently led me to it. Every scheme, every lie had pushed me toward this moment, toward Elliot, toward true love. Sometimes the worst betrayals lead us to our best beginnings, and sometimes the happiest endings come not from revenge, but from living well, loving deeply, and letting go. This was my story now, and it was just beginning.
The words hit like daggers across the dining room table. "What a waste of potential," Laurel said, not even bothering to lower her voice. "All that education, that big house, and no children to fill it. I'm Violet, and at 35, I've learned to steel myself against my family's judgment. But something about today felt different. Maybe it was the way Hugo nodded along with Laurel's words, or how Aunt Margaret's lips pressed into that familiar, disapproving line. "Pass the potatoes, please," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. The annual family reunion at grandmother's house had become an exercise in endurance. "You know, Vi," Hugo chimed in, swirling his wine glass, "my Sarah just had her third. Nothing compares to the joy of family." "I have family," I replied, gesturing around the table. "Right here." Laurel snorted. "That's not the same and you know it. You can't take your career to Christmas morning or hold it when you're old." I felt Alison's hand squeeze my knee under the table. Thank God she'd agreed to come as my +1. The room felt suffocating, with its dated wallpaper and generations of family photos watching from every wall. "Actually," I started, but Laurel wasn't finished. "Remember when we were little and you used to play house? What happened to that little girl who wanted a family of her own? She grew up and realized there's more than one way to make a difference," I said, pushing my chair back. "Excuse me, I need some air." As I headed toward the garden, I heard Hugo's voice. Always so dramatic. "This is why children need both parents. Gives them stability." The evening air hit my face like a blessing. I found myself at the old oak tree, the same one I'd climbed countless times as a child. Alison appeared beside me, offering a glass of wine. "They're awful," she said simply. "They're family," I took a long sip. "Sometimes I wonder if those two concepts are mutually exclusive." "You know what the real waste is?" Alison leaned against the tree. "The energy you spend caring what they think." Before I could respond, Valerie, the only cousin who'd ever shown me any kindness, stepped out onto the porch. "Vi, grandmother's asking for you. Time for the family photo." I smoothed my dress and plastered on a smile. "Coming." Back inside, grandmother sat in her favourite armchair, surrounded by great-grandchildren. Laurel's kids were front and center, of course. As everyone arranged themselves, I found myself pushed to the back. "Violet, dear," Grandmother called out, "why don't you stand behind Hugo? We can barely see you anyway." I caught Laurel's smirk as I moved into position. The photographer counted down, and just before the flash, Hugo whispered, "At least you won't have to worry about inheritance fights with your kids." The camera clicked, capturing my forced smile for posterity, another perfect family moment for the wall. Later, as dessert was being served, I escaped to the study. The room still smelled like grandfather's pipe tobacco, though he'd been gone 5 years. I found myself staring out the window at the city lights below, wondering what he would have thought of all this. "They mean well, you know," came a voice behind me. It was Edmund, my father's old friend and business partner. "They just don't understand people who choose different paths. Do they have to understand?" I turned to face him. Couldn't they just accept? Edmund's weathered face creased with sympathy. "Sometimes people's criticism says more about their own insecurities than your choices." A burst of laughter from the dining room made me wince. Laurel's voice carried above the others, regaling everyone with stories of her daughter's dance recital. "I should get back," I said, but Edmund caught my arm. "Your grandfather used to say something about family trees," he said, "that the strongest ones have branches growing in all directions." He paused. "He was proud of you, Vi. Never doubt that." I nodded, not trusting myself to speak. As I returned to the dining room, Laurel was collecting her children's coats. "Leaving so soon?" I asked, more out of politeness than curiosity. "Some of us have school runs in the morning," she replied. "But hey, you wouldn't know about that, would you?" I watched them file out, Hugo and his family close behind. The house felt emptier, but somehow less suffocating. Through the window, I could see them loading into their minivans, their perfect nuclear families intact. But as I stood there, something shifted inside me. Their words, instead of crushing me, began to feel like fuel for something else, something bigger than their narrow definition of family. I just didn't know what that something was. Yet. "You need to stop letting them live rent-free in your head," Alison said, pushing a steaming mug of coffee across her kitchen counter. 3 days had passed since the family reunion, and I still couldn't shake the hollow feeling in my chest. I know, but..." "No buts," Alison cut me off. "Let's get out of here. The park's beautiful this time of year, and you need vitamin D more than you need another coffee." 20 minutes later, we were walking through Memorial Park, fallen leaves crunching under our feet. Children's laughter drifted from the playground, and for once it didn't feel like an accusation. "I just wish I could show them that my life has meaning," I said, kicking at a pile of leaves. "That I'm not just some..." A soccer ball rolled into my path, followed by a teenage girl with wild curly hair. "Sorry?" she called out, scooping up the ball. Something in her eyes caught my attention, a familiar kind of loneliness. "No problem," I smiled. "Great day for soccer." "Yeah, when you have someone to play with," she replied, glancing back at an empty field. "I'm Michaela. The other kids from the home were supposed to come, but..." She shrugged. "The home?" Alison asked. "Grace House. It's okay, as group homes go, but they're understaffed today. Again." Michaela tucked the ball under her arm. Most of the little ones had to stay back. Before I could respond, a harried-looking woman in a worn cardigan hurried over. "Michaela, there you are. We need to head back. Sarah's having another anxiety attack." "But Ms. Roberts, you promised we could stay an hour." Michaela's voice cracked slightly. "I've been good all week." "I'm sorry, sweetie, we just don't have enough staff today to..." "I could stay with her," I heard myself say. "I mean, if that's allowed. I'm Violet. And this is Alison. We could keep an eye on her while she plays." Ms. Roberts hesitated, studying us. "Do you have experience with children?" "I run my own business," I said. "Background checks, references. I can provide whatever you need." After a quick verification of my ID and a few phone calls, Ms. Roberts agreed to let Michaela stay under our supervision. The girl's face lit up like Christmas morning. "Want to play?" she asked, holding up the ball. "I'm pretty good. For the next hour, we kicked the ball around, talked and laughed. Michaela told us about life at Grace House, the good parts and the bad, about dreams of college and becoming a doctor, about younger kids who needed more attention than the overwhelmed staff could provide. Sometimes, she said, sitting cross-legged in the grass, the little ones cry at night because they miss having someone to read them stories. Ms. Roberts tries, but she can't be everywhere at once. Alison shot me a knowing look. Vi, you're doing that thing with your face. What thing? The thing you do when you're about to change someone's life. I ignored her, focused on Michaela. How many children are at Grace House? 23 right now. It's over capacity, but where else can they go? She picked at the grass. Some of the older kids help out, but it's not the same as having actual family. The word family hit differently now. I thought about my empty house, my resources, my need to prove something to Laurel and Hugo, but this wasn't about them anymore. What if, I started slowly, what if there was a place, not just a house, but a real home, with enough staff and resources to give every child the attention they deserve? Michaela's eyes widened. You mean like a better group home? More than that. A sanctuary, where kids could feel safe, loved, supported. The idea was taking shape in my mind. With programs, education, counselling. Vi, Alison interrupted. Are you thinking what I think you're thinking? I have the means, I said. The connections, the space. My voice grew stronger with each word. Edmund's been telling me to diversify my investments. What better investment than this? Michaela looked between us, hope and skepticism warring on her face. People always talk about making things better, but nothing changes. I pulled out my phone, scrolling through contacts. Watch me. That evening, I sat in my home office surrounded by preliminary research. Licensing requirements, funding structures, staffing needs. The challenges were daunting, but for the first time in years, I felt truly alive. My phone buzzed. A text from Laurel. Hope you're not too lonely in that big empty house. Sarah's recital this weekend. You should come see what real fulfillment looks like. I smiled and set the phone aside without responding. On my computer screen, property listings for potential sanctuary locations filled the browser. Empty houses could be filled with more than just traditional families. They could be filled with purpose. And maybe, just maybe, that was the best revenge of all. A children's sanctuary? Edmund leaned back in his leather chair, studying the business plan I'd laid on his desk. That's ambitious. I've done the math, I said, pulling out more documents. With my savings and the right investors. The right investors might be hard to find. He tapped his pen against the desk. Children's homes aren't exactly known for their profit margins. This isn't about profit. I leaned forward. You should see these kids, Edmund. They need more than just a roof and basic care. Edmund's expression softened. I know that look, Vi. Your grandfather had the same one when he started his first company. He picked up my proposal again. But you'll need more than passion. You'll need money, I finished. That's why I'm meeting Hugo at the bank today. Edmund's eyebrows shot up. Hugo? Your cousin Hugo? He's the loan officer at First National. I don't have a choice. Just be careful, Edmund warned. Family and business can be a volatile mix. 2 hours later, I sat across from Hugo in his sterile office, watching him flip through my proposal with an increasingly skeptical expression. So, he said finally, you want to borrow $2 million to build a glorified orphanage? A sanctuary, I corrected, with educational programs, therapy services, and... Vi, he interrupted. Let's be real. You're having some sort of crisis because the family's been pressuring you about kids. This has nothing to do with that. Really? He closed the folder. Because it looks like you're trying to prove something. Playing mother to other people's unwanted children won't fill that void. I gripped the arms of my chair. They're not unwanted, they're underserved, and this isn't about filling voids, it's about creating something meaningful. Meaningful? Hugo laughed. You want meaningful? Have your own kids. Build a real family. This? He tapped the folder. This is just expensive therapy. Are you rejecting my application? I'm trying to help you. he said, his voice dripping with condescension. As family. This plan isn't viable, the risk assessment alone. Save it. I stood up, gathering my papers. I'll find another way. Vi, wait. Hugo's voice stopped me at the door. You know what your problem is. You've always tried to be different just for the sake of being different. But sometimes, tradition exists for a reason. I turned back. You know what your problem is, Hugo? You've never understood that family can mean more than blood. The slam of his office door behind me was satisfying, but my hands were shaking as I reached my car. I pulled out my phone and dialed Edmund. That bad? He asked. Worse? I started the engine. But I'm not giving up. There has to be another way. Come back to my office, I might have some ideas. An hour later, I sat with Edmund and his network of contacts on speakerphone. The conversation jumped between funding options, property considerations, and licensing requirements. The old Riverside Manor could work, one voice suggested. It's been on the market for months, and the owner's motivated to sell. And I know some people at the Thompson Foundation, another added. They've been looking to fund innovative social projects. Edmund scribbled notes. See, Vi, there's always another path. As the call ended, my phone buzzed with a text from Laurel. Hugo told me about your little project. Getting desperate much? I showed Edmund the message. He shook his head. Don't let them distract you. Focus on what matters. I am. I pulled up the photo of Michaela I'd taken at the park. This matters. All of them matter. Then let's make it happen. Edmund started writing names. I'll set up meetings with potential donors. You focus on the property and licensing requirements. Edmund? I hesitated. Why are you helping me? He smiled. Because 30 years ago, your grandfather helped me when everyone said my ideas were too risky. Sometimes the best legacies aren't the ones we're born into, but the ones we choose to build. As I drove home that evening, I passed families in parks, on sidewalks, in restaurant windows. Each scene used to feel like a reminder of what I lacked. Now they felt like inspiration for what I could create. My phone buzzed again. Hugo. Hope you're not too disappointed about the loan. Some dreams aren't meant to come true. I pulled into my driveway looking at my too-quiet house. Tomorrow I'd start the paperwork for Riverside Manor. I'd meet with the Thompson Foundation. I'd prove that dreams don't need anyone's permission to come true. And maybe, just maybe, I'd show Hugo, Laurel, and everyone else that family isn't about who you're born to. It's about who you choose to fight for. Welcome to Hope Haven. I stood in front of the renovated Riverside Manor, watching as Michaela's eyes widened at the sight of the freshly painted walls and new playground equipment. This is really happening? She asked, clutching her backpack. We're really moving in today? You and 7 others to start, I nodded. Once we get our systems in place, we'll be able to take in more. Ms. Roberts emerged from the van with 2 smaller children clinging to her legs. It's beautiful, Violet. I can't believe you did all this in 6 months. She had help, Edmund called from the front steps, where he was directing movers with furniture. Lots of it. The Thompson Foundation had come through with matching funds. Local businesses donated supplies. Volunteers painted walls and assembled furniture. Even Valerie had secretly contributed, though she made me promise not to tell Laurel or Hugo. Can I see my room? Michaela asked. Our room, piped up Sophie, a 7-year-old with missing front teeth. Ms. Violet said we get to be roommates. As we toured the house, I watched the children's faces light up at each discovery. The library with reading nooks, the art room with endless supplies, the kitchen where they could learn to cook, each space designed to feel like home, not an institution. And this, I said, opening a door, is the homework centre, complete with tutors 3 times a week. Trying to turn them all into workaholics like you. Laurel's voice cut through the excitement. She stood in the doorway, designer purse clutched tight. What are you doing here? I asked, instinctively stepping between her and the children. Charity board meeting nearby. Thought I'd see this project for myself. Her eyes swept the room dismissively. Quite a lot of money to spend on other people's problems. Before I could respond, Michaela stepped forward. We're not problems. We're people. Laurel blinked, clearly not expecting resistance. Of course, dear. I just meant... I know what you meant, Michaela continued, but Ms. Violet sees us as family, not charity cases. Family? Laurel laughed. Sweetie, real family is... Real family shows up, Sophie interrupted, grabbing my hand, like Ms. Violet does. I squeezed her hand, fighting back tears. Laurel, if you're not here to support what we're doing, I'll have to ask you to leave. Fine. She adjusted her purse, but don't come crying to me when this all falls apart. After she left, Edmund found me in my office, staring at the family photo from the reunion. You okay? Better than okay, I said, turning to the window. Below, Michaela was teaching Sophie how to use the swing set. Look at them, Edmund. They're already becoming a family. Speaking of family, he handed me an envelope. Your grandmother's been asking about you. Inside was an invitation to Laurel's daughter's Sweet 16, another family gathering to endure. You don't have to go, Edmund said. Actually, I do. I smiled. Because next week we're hosting our first community dinner here and I want to invite everyone, including Laurel and Hugo. Are you sure that's wise? A knock at the door interrupted us. It was Ms. Roberts. Violet, the kids want to know if you'll join them for movie night. They're voting on what to watch. In the common room, children sprawled across couches and floor cushions. They made space for me in the middle, immediately pulling me into their debate between animation and superheroes. Both have happy endings, Sophie declared. Like us. Later that night, after tucking in the younger ones and checking on the teens, I found Michaela in the library. Can't sleep? I asked. Just thinking, she said, about what your cousin said, about real family. Hey, I sat beside her. Don't let her... No, it's not that. Michaela smiled. I was thinking she's wrong. Family isn't just who you're born to, it's who makes you feel like you belong. My phone buzzed. Another text from Laurel. Hope your experiment in playing Mommy makes you happy. Sarah's party next week. Don't forget to bring a nice gift. I looked at Michaela, then at the text. Want to help me plan something special for next week? I think it's time to show my family what we've built here. A revenge party? She grinned. No, I laughed. More like a revelation party. Sometimes the best way to change minds is to open hearts first. Outside, the sunset painted the sanctuary in warm colours. Children's laughter echoed through the halls. And for the first time in my life, I felt completely, utterly at home. This wasn't the family I was born into. It was the family I chose to create. And somehow, that made it even more real. Is my tie straight? Asked Tommy, one of our newest residents, fidgeting with his collar in the mirror. The grand ballroom of the city's finest hotel buzzed with activity as we prepared for Hope Haven's 10th anniversary gala. Perfect, I assured him, smoothing his shoulders. Ready to give your speech? What if I mess up? His 13-year-old face creased with worry. Then you'll have a funny story to tell, Michaela said, now 26 and serving as our program director. Like the time Ms. Violet tripped during our first fundraiser. That was your fault, I laughed. You left your backpack in the aisle. The ballroom doors opened and guests began flowing in. Local business leaders, donors, supporters. And yes, family. I spotted Hugo first, his hair now streaked with grey. Valerie came next, giving me a subtle thumbs up. Then Laurel, looking somewhat diminished compared to her usual commanding presence. Violet, Edmund approached, champagne in hand. The place is packed. The Thompson Foundation just pledged another $1 million for the expansion. Before I could respond, Tommy tugged my sleeve. Ms. Violet, they're ready for the speeches. I took the stage looking out at the sea of faces. 10 years, over 200 children helped, 40 successful college placements, countless lives changed. When Hope Haven began, I started. Someone told me I was trying to fill a void in my life. They were right, but not in the way they thought. The void wasn't in me. It was in our community, in our understanding of what family truly means. I saw Laurel shift uncomfortably in her seat. Tonight, you'll hear from some of our residents, past and present. They'll tell you their stories better than I ever could. But first, a commotion at the back of the room interrupted me. Laurel had stood abruptly, her chair scraping loudly. Her face was streaked with tears as she rushed toward the exit. "Continue with the program," I whispered to Michaela, then followed Laurel. I found her in the hotel's garden, mascara running, clutching her phone. "Laurel!" "Don't," she said. "Just don't be nice to me right now. I don't deserve it." "What's wrong?" She laughed bitterly, holding up her phone. "Everything. My perfect children? They've emptied their trust funds, gambling, bad investments, parties. It's all gone. And now they're asking for more." "I'm sorry," I said, meaning it. "You know what's worse?" She wiped her eyes. "Watching those kids in there, the ones you've helped, they're more responsible, more grateful, more everything than my own children. And it's my fault. I was so busy proving I was the perfect mother that I forgot to actually be one." A cool breeze rustled the garden flowers. From inside, I could hear Tommy beginning his speech. "I need your help, Vi," Laurel whispered. "Not money. I need to understand how you did it, how you created real family bonds with children who aren't even yours." "They are mine," I corrected gently. "Not by blood, but by choice. Every day we choose each other." "Will you teach me?" Her voice cracked. "Help me fix my family?" I studied her face, searching for any trace of the old condescension. Instead, I saw only desperation and genuine remorse. "Come to the sanctuary next week," I said finally. "See how we operate. But Laurel, it won't be easy. Real change never is." "I know." She straightened her shoulders. "I've spent 10 years judging your choices. Maybe it's time I learned from them instead." Inside, applause erupted. Through the windows, I could see Tommy beaming as Michaela hugged him. "We should go back in," I said. "They're about to show the video of our first year." "Vi," Laurel caught my arm. "I know it's too late, but I'm sorry. For everything I said, everything I did." "It's never too late for family," I replied. "Even the complicated ones." As we returned to the ballroom, Hugo approached, looking uncomfortable. "That was quite a speech, Vi. And these kids," he gestured around, "they're impressive." "They are," I agreed. "Would you like to meet some of them?" The rest of the evening passed in a blur of testimonials, tears, and triumph. Former residents shared stories of college graduations, career successes, and their own growing families. Current residents performed music they'd learned in our programs. Later, as the crowd thinned, I found myself back on stage, looking at the Hope Haven 10 Years of Family banner. Michaela joined me, bumping my shoulder with hers. "Think they finally get it?" she asked, nodding toward Laurel and Hugo. "Maybe," I said. "But that's not why we did this." "No," she smiled. "We did it because family isn't about who you're born to. It's about who you choose to become." And standing there, watching my chosen family mingle with my birth family, I realized that sometimes the best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's proving that love can take any form if you're brave enough to let it. "You want me to do what?" Laurel stood in Hope Haven's kitchen, staring at the volunteer schedule I'd handed her. 3 days a week, 4 hours each day, I said, pouring coffee. "That's the minimum commitment we require from all our regular volunteers." "But I've never..." She gestured vaguely at the industrial-sized kitchen. "I have a housekeeper for this sort of thing." "Cooking classes are Tuesdays and Thursdays," I continued, ignoring her discomfort. "Homework help on Mondays and Wednesdays. Weekend activities include..." "Violet," she interrupted. "I asked for help with my family situation, not a job." "This is help." I met her eyes. "You want to understand family bonds? Start by creating them." The kitchen door swung open as Sophie, now 17, burst in with a group of younger kids. "Miss Violet!" "We need more pancake mix for breakfast club tomorrow and..." "Oh!" She stopped short at the sight of Laurel. "Sophie, you remember my cousin Laurel?" I said. She's going to be volunteering with us. Really? Sophie raised an eyebrow, looking exactly like the skeptical 7-year-old I'd first met. Does she know how to make pancakes? Laurel smoothed her designer blouse. I can learn. Perfect, Sophie grinned. You can start by helping us inventory the pantry, unless that's too much manual labor for those nails. I bit back a smile as Laurel examined her fresh manicure. I suppose I could help. Great! Sophie tossed her an apron. Kids, show Miss Laurel where everything goes. The younger children swarmed Laurel, pulling her toward the pantry. The look of sheer panic on her face was almost worth 10 years of snide comments. Play nice, I whispered to Sophie as she passed. Always do, she winked, but a little karma never hurt anyone. Later that afternoon, I found Laurel in my office looking exhausted. Her perfectly styled hair had come loose and there was a smudge of flour on her cheek. Ready to quit? I asked. No, she said, surprising me. But I need to understand something. Those kids in there, they've been through hell. Abandonment, abuse, neglect, yet they're so loving, I supplied. Resilient, happy, she finished. My children have had every advantage, every privilege, and they're miserable. How is that possible? Maybe because these kids don't take family for granted, I said. They build it, day by day, choice by choice. Sarah called while I was in the pantry, Laurel said quietly. Asked for more money. When I said no, she said I was never there anyway. So why start pretending to care now? Were you? Was I what? There, I said. Really there, not just physically present? Laurel's silence was answer enough. A knock at the door saved her from responding. Michaela entered with a stack of papers. Sorry to interrupt, but we need a volunteer for tonight's college prep session. 3 of our seniors are working on applications. Laurel started hesitantly. I did help Sarah with hers. Before she dropped out. Perfect. Michaela handed her a folder. They'll be in the library at 7. Just maybe leave the designer labels commentary at home this time. After Michaela left, Laurel studied the folder. She doesn't like me much, does she? She remembers you from your first visit, I said. But she also believes in second chances, we all do. Even you? Especially me. I stood up. But Laurel, this only works if you're serious. These kids have been let down enough. I know, she straightened her shoulders. I want to do this right, not just for my kids, but for me too. I've spent so long judging others' choices that I never questioned my own. 7 o'clock, I reminded her. Don't be late. That evening, I watched from the library doorway as Laurel sat with 3 teenagers, helping them craft college essays. Her voice was different, softer, more patient than I'd ever heard it. Ms. Violet? Tommy tugged at my sleeve. Is she really your cousin? She seems nicer than before. People can surprise you, I said. Sometimes they just need a chance to be better than their worst moments. Like us? He asked. Exactly like us. Inside the library, Laurel laughed at something one of the teens said. A real laugh, not her usual polished social titter. For a moment, I glimpsed the girl she'd been before society's expectations had hardened her. My phone buzzed with a text from Hugo. Heard Laurel's playing charity worker now. This should be interesting. I typed back, not charity, family. Because sometimes the hardest person to give a second chance to is yourself. And watching Laurel take her first steps toward change, I realized that maybe this was the real purpose of Hope Haven all along. Not just to build new families, but to heal the broken ones too. Miss Laurel, you're doing it wrong again, 8-year-old Amy giggled, watching Laurel struggle with the craft supplies. 3 weeks into her volunteer commitment, my cousin sat cross-legged on the floor, surrounded by glitter and construction paper. Well, how about you show me, Laurel said, handing over the scissors. Her designer clothes had been replaced by jeans and a Hope Haven t-shirt. Her manicure sacrificed to art projects and cooking classes. Like this, Amy demonstrated, carefully cutting along the line. We're making cards for the new kids coming tomorrow. They're always scared at first, so we want them to feel welcome. Were you scared? Laurel asked softly. Terrified, Amy admitted. But then Miss Violet read me a story and Sophie showed me where to find the best snacks, and Michaela helped me decorate my room. Now it feels like home. I watched Laurel absorb this, seeing the moment it clicked. She reached for another piece of paper, this time cutting with more purpose. "Can I tell you a secret?" she asked Amy. "I was scared coming here too." "Really? Why?" "Because," Laurel glanced up, catching my eye in the doorway, "because I wasn't very nice to Miss Violet before. I was afraid everyone here would hate me." "That's silly," Amy declared. "Miss Violet says everybody deserves a chance to be better." Before Laurel could respond, Michaela burst into the room. "Emergency family meeting! Living room now!" We gathered in the main living room, where a tearful Sophie stood clutching her phone. "What's wrong?" I asked. "I got in," Sophie whispered. "Full scholarship to medical school. I actually got in." The room erupted in cheers. Kids rushed to hug her, staff members wiped away tears, and Laurel stood back, watching it all with an expression I couldn't quite read. Later, during the impromptu celebration dinner, she pulled me aside. "I keep thinking about Sarah," she said. "She had every opportunity, every advantage. But Sophie, she had nothing. And look at her now." "She had everything that mattered," I corrected. "Support. Love. People who believed in her." "I failed my children, didn't I?" Laurel's voice cracked. "No," Michaela interrupted, joining us. "You just lost your way. But you're here now, trying to find it again. That counts for something." "Does it?" Laurel asked. "After everything I said about this place, about Violet? You know what we learn here?" Michaela gestured around the room. "That family isn't about being perfect. It's about being present, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard." A commotion by the door drew our attention. Hugo stood there looking uncomfortable in his business suit. "I heard about Sarah," he said to Laurel. "Thought I'd find you here." "Hugo?" Laurel started. "Save it," he cut her off. "Have you lost your mind? Spending your days playing with orphans while your own daughter—" "They're not orphans," Amy piped up, stepping forward. "They're my family. And Ms. Laurel is helping us, which is more than you're doing." Hugo blinked, clearly not used to being challenged by 8-year-olds. "She's right," Laurel said quietly. "I'm learning more about being a mother here than I ever did at country club lunches or society parties." "By making craft projects?" Hugo scoffed. "By listening," Laurel shot back. "By showing up. By understanding that love isn't about what you give, it's about how you give it." Sophie stepped forward, medical school acceptance letter in hand. "Mr. Hugo, remember when you told Ms. Violet that her dream wasn't viable, that she was wasting her potential?" Hugo shifted uncomfortably. "That was business, not—" "I'm going to be a doctor," Sophie interrupted. "Because of this place. Because Ms. Violet saw potential in me when everyone else saw a throwaway kid. So maybe you should think about what viable really means." The room fell silent. Hugo looked around, taking in the handmade decorations, the family photos on the walls, the children's artwork proudly displayed. "I should go," he muttered. "Stay," I surprised myself by saying. "Have dinner with us. See what we do here." "Please," Amy added, offering him a glitter-covered welcome card. Hugo stared at the card, then at Laurel in her casual clothes and genuine smile, then at me. "One dinner," he said finally, "but I'm not making cards." "That's okay," Amy grinned. "Ms. Laurel's really bad at it too." As laughter filled the room, I watched my cousins, one finding her way back to herself, one taking his first tentative steps toward understanding. This wasn't the revenge I'd originally planned, but somehow it felt like an even better victory. Because sometimes the greatest transformation isn't in proving others wrong, but in helping them find their way to right. "Mom?" Sarah's voice wavered as she stood in Hope Haven's doorway. "Aunt Violet said I might find you here." Laurel froze in the middle of helping Tommy with his math homework. "Sarah, what are you—" "Can we talk?" Sarah clutched her purse, looking smaller than her 26 years. "Please?" I nodded to Laurel from across the room, and she followed Sarah into my office. Through the window, I watched them sit, neither speaking at first. Quite a day for family reunions, Michaela said, joining me. Hugo's in the garden with Amy, learning about her butterfly project. Never thought I'd see that. People surprise you, I smiled. Speaking of surprises, how's the expansion planning going? Before she could answer, Sophie burst in. Ms. Violet, the Thompson Foundation called. They want to fund satellite locations. We could help 3 times as many kids. The office door opened. Sarah emerged, eyes red but smiling, Laurel's arm around her shoulders. Vi? Laurel called. Could you come here? Sarah has something to say. In my office, Sarah twisted her hands together. I've been watching Mum these past few months. How she changed working here. And I thought maybe I could volunteer too. It's not that simple, I said. This isn't just somewhere to find yourself. These kids need consistency, commitment. I know, Sarah interrupted. I've been sober for 2 months, going to meetings, getting counselling. I want to do better, be better, like Mum is learning to be. She means it, Vi, Laurel added softly. We both do. A commotion outside drew us to the window. Hugo was chasing Amy through the butterfly garden, both laughing as she sprayed him with the watering can. Who is that man and what has he done with our cousin? Laurel whispered. The same thing that happened to you, I replied. He let love in. Sarah watched the scene, tears in her eyes. I always thought we were better than everyone else. Our family, our money. But these kids have something we never had. What's that? I asked. Real connections, not just obligations. A knock at the door revealed Edmund, grinning broadly. Sorry to interrupt, but you all need to come to the living room. Now. We followed him to find the room packed with faces both old and new. Residents past and present, staff, volunteers, and in the centre, grandmother, sitting regally in her wheelchair. Well, she demanded, isn't anyone going to explain why this place feels more like home than my own house? Grandmother, I started, but she held up a hand. Let me finish. I've been watching, Violet. Watching how you built something extraordinary from nothing but love and determination. Watching how you changed Laurel, Hugo. This whole family. She gestured to Sarah. Come here, child. You too, Laurel. Hugo, stop dripping water on my floor and join us. As my cousins gathered around her chair, grandmother reached for my hand. I was wrong, she said simply. We were all wrong. Family isn't about carrying on bloodlines or meeting society's expectations. It's about creating spaces where people can grow, heal, and become their best selves. Group hug, Amy shouted, breaking the tension. She launched herself at Hugo, who caught her with practiced ease. Soon the room was a tangle of embraces, laughter, and tears. Sophie showing Sarah her medical school acceptance letter. Michaela discussing expansion plans with Edmund, Tommy explaining his math problems to a fascinated Hugo. Violet, grandmother called over the happy chaos. Edmund tells me you're planning satellite locations? Yes, Good. The Family Foundation will match whatever the Thompson Foundation offers. It's time the Parker legacy stood for something more than social status. As the celebration continued, I found myself by the window watching the sunset paint the sky in brilliant colours. Alison appeared beside me, smiling. Remember when you just wanted revenge? She asked. This is better, I said. This is healing. Ms. Violet, Amy called. We need you for the photo. Grandmother says we have to replace that awful reunion picture with a real family portrait. As I joined the group, I saw what grandmother meant. This was family. Not posed and proper, but real and messy and beautiful. Hugo with butterfly stickers on his suit. Laurel and Sarah holding hands. Michaela and Sophie supporting each other like the sisters they'd become. Amy perched on Edmund's shoulders. And me, in the middle of it all. Exactly where I was meant to be. Everyone ready? The photographer asked. Wait! Amy adjusted her Hope Haven t-shirt. What should we say instead of cheese? How about family? Sarah suggested. Better yet, grandmother said, her eyes twinkling. Let's say home. The camera flashed, capturing not just faces but the truth we'd all finally learned, that sometimes the family you choose becomes the family you needed all along. And that's not revenge, that's redemption.
The crystal champagne flute trembled in my hand as I watched my mother-in-law's lips curl into that familiar smirk. 7 years of marriage to her precious son, and I still couldn't shake the chill that ran down my spine whenever she looked at me that way. My name is Jennifer, and I've spent nearly a decade being the family disappointment, the woman who dared marry into the illustrious Willis family without the proper pedigree or bank account to match. I simply can't wait for next month's anniversary party, Yvonne announced, swirling her wine with practiced elegance. I have the most wonderful surprise planned. The dining room fell silent. Even the gentle clink of sterling silver against fine china seemed to hold its breath. I caught my husband Landon's questioning glance from across the table, but he quickly looked away. He always looked away. "Mother, we agreed no surprises this year," Landon said, his voice carrying that slight tremor it always did when he confronted her. "Jennifer and I wanted something simple." Yvonne's laugh tinkled like breaking glass. "Oh, darling, nothing about our family is simple. You know that." Her eyes locked onto mine. "Isn't that right, Jennifer?" I forced a smile. "Of course, Yvonne. Though sometimes simple can be refreshing." Max, the family's CEO, cleared his throat. "Speaking of refreshing, the quarterly numbers are looking exceptional. Jennifer, I noticed the marketing suggestions you sent over actually." Now, Yvonne cut in. "Let's not bore everyone with business talk. Besides, I'm sure Jennifer has enough on her plate managing the household." She paused, eyeing my barely touched plate. Though perhaps not as well as one might hope. Hope, my best friend and tonight's invited guest, shifted uncomfortably beside me. Under the table, she squeezed my hand, our secret signal that I needed to keep my cool. "Actually," I said, my voice steady despite my racing heart, "I've been quite busy with several personal projects." "How lovely," Yvonne cooed. "It's so important to have hobbies. Speaking of which, you remember Chelsea, don't you? Maxwell's niece? She's doing remarkable things in corporate law now. She'll be attending the anniversary party." The way she emphasized Chelsea's name made my stomach turn. I'd met her once. Young, beautiful, and exactly the kind of woman Yvonne had always wanted for her son. "Chelsea?" Landon frowned. "I haven't seen her since we were kids." "Oh, she's grown into quite the accomplished woman," Yvonne beamed. "Harvard Law, summer home in the Hamptons, family money, of course. The kind of connections that could really benefit our family's future." I set down my glass before I could crush it. "The party is to celebrate our marriage, Yvonne. 7 years of it." "Yes, 7 long years," she mused, dabbing her lips with her napkin. "Time does have a way of clarifying things, doesn't it?" Hope cleared her throat. "Jennifer, didn't you want to show me that painting in the study? The new one?" I grabbed the lifeline. "Yes, actually. Would you all excuse us for a moment?" We barely made it to the study before Hope spun around. "She's planning something big." "I know." I sank into the leather armchair, my hands shaking. The way she kept talking about Chelsea, about the future. "You have to tell Landon about your plan," Hope insisted, "before this party, before whatever she's plotting." I shook my head. "Not yet. The acquisition isn't final. If word gets out too soon..." "Jen, she's trying to replace you, with some corporate Barbie who probably color codes her sock drawer." "Let her try." I stood up, smoothing my dress. "Everything's already in motion. In exactly 4 weeks, Yvonne Willis is going to learn what it feels like to be the one without power." Hope's eyes widened. "You're really going through with it?" "You know what she said to me last Christmas? That I should be grateful they let me marry Landon at all. That some people just aren't meant for certain circles." I walked to the window, watching the city lights flicker below. "Well, I'm about to buy my way into every circle she holds dear." "Jennifer?" Landon's voice carried from the hallway. "Mother's asking for us." I turned to Hope, my jaw set. Time to go back to playing the dutiful daughter-in-law. For now. As we walked back to the dining room, Yvonne's voice drifted out, discussing seating arrangements with surprising animation. I caught the words head table and special announcement. Let her plan her perfect party. Let her think she's finally found a way to push me out. In 4 weeks, I wouldn't just crash her carefully orchestrated celebration. I'd own it. Literally. I just hoped Landon would understand why I had to do it this way. Why 7 years of subtle humiliation and carefully crafted exclusion had led me to this moment. Because one way or another, this anniversary would mark the end of Yvonne Willis's reign over our lives. And the beginning of mine. The paperwork looks solid, Eugene said, adjusting his wire-rimmed glasses as he spread documents across his mahogany desk. But Jennifer, are you absolutely certain about this? The family has trusted me as their attorney for 30 years. I leaned forward, my designer blazer, a recent splurge I'd finally allowed myself, crinkling slightly. That's exactly why I came to you, Eugene. You know every skeleton in their closet. He shuffled uncomfortably. The acquisition is legitimate. Your shell company's offer is more than fair, but the deception involved... Deception? I pulled out my phone, scrolling through saved screenshots. Like when Yvonne tried to have my prenup modified without my knowledge 3 years ago? The same prenup you refused to alter because it was, as you put it, ethically questionable? Eugene's face flushed. That was different. Was it? I slid the final contract across his desk. Sign as witness, Eugene, or I'll find someone who will. The door opened and Hope burst in, her heels clicking against the hardwood floor. Sorry I'm late. Traffic was insane. She paused, reading the room. Did I miss the fun part? Perfect timing, I said. Eugene was just about to sign. Hope dropped into the chair beside me, pulling out her tablet. While you finish up here, you need to see these numbers. The tech division's value is even higher than we thought. Your little startup didn't just succeed, Jen. It's about to become a major player. I allowed myself a small smile. For 3 years, I'd been building my company in secret, starting with a small inheritance from my grandmother. While Yvonne thought I was taking cooking classes and attending charity luncheons, I was actually securing investors and developing revolutionary software. Eugene's pen scratched across the paper. There, it's done. He looked up at me, his expression grave. The family will know within days that someone's buying their shares. Once the acquisition is complete, there's no going back. Good. I gathered the papers, sliding them into my briefcase. Because I'm done going backward. Hope waited until we were in the elevator before squealing. I can't believe we pulled this off. From that tiny office above my garage to this. She grabbed my hands. You're about to own one of the largest tech companies on the East Coast. We're not celebrating yet, I warned, but I couldn't help grinning. First, we need to... The elevator doors opened and I froze. Landon stood in the lobby, deep in conversation with Max. Quick, Hope whispered. Act natural. Jennifer? Landon looked surprised. What are you doing here? Hope needed to drop off some documents for her divorce. I lied smoothly. I came for moral support. Max nodded sympathetically. Nasty business divorce. Speaking of business, Landon, we should finish our discussion about those board changes your mother's suggesting. My ears perked up. Board changes? Nothing concrete, Landon said quickly. Just some restructuring ideas. Mother thinks that it's time for fresh perspectives. Max finished. Though between us, I'm not sure about her timing. The company's doing better than ever. Hope clutched my arm. We should really get going. Lots of paperwork to handle. As we hurried out, I heard Max say, You know, your wife's got quite a head for business. That marketing proposal last month was brilliant. Maybe we should consider... The rest of his words were cut off by the closing doors. Outside, I finally let out the breath I'd been holding. That was close, Hope said. But did you hear that? They're planning board changes right before the takeover? That can't be a coincidence. I flagged down a taxi. No, it can't. Yvonne's planning something big for that anniversary party, and now she's messing with the company structure? I pulled out my phone. Call Eugene. Tell him to expedite everything. I want the acquisition complete before that party. What about Landon? Are you ever going to tell him? I watched the city blur past the taxi window, remembering the way he'd looked away at dinner. the way he always looked away. He'll know soon enough. They all will. And if he doesn't understand? If he takes their side? The question hit me like a punch to the gut. Then I'll have lost my husband, I said quietly. But I'll have kept my dignity. And maybe, just maybe, I'll have earned his respect. Hope squeezed my hand. For what it's worth, I think you're doing the right thing. Sometimes the only way to fix a broken system is to break it completely. My phone buzzed. A message from Yvonne about final party arrangements. Another buzz. Eugene confirming the paperwork was being processed. 2 weeks until the acquisition would be complete. 3 weeks until the party. After 7 years of smiling through subtle jabs and calculated exclusion, my patience was finally about to pay off. I just hoped the price wouldn't be too high. The Willis corporate headquarters buzzed with unusual energy as decorators transformed the top-floor event space for tomorrow's pre-party board meeting. I lingered near the service entrance, watching Yvonne direct workers with military precision. The flowers go there. No, not those ones. She snapped at a nervous-looking florist. The pink roses are for tomorrow. The white ones are for next week's main event. Everything okay? Max appeared beside me, making me jump. You look lost in thought. Just admiring Yvonne's attention to detail. He chuckled. That's one way to put it. Listen, Jennifer, got a minute? There's something I've been meaning to discuss. My heart raced as I followed him to his office. Had he discovered something? The acquisition was nearly complete, but one wrong move now could ruin everything. Close the door, he said, settling behind his desk. I'm worried about Yvonne. I blinked. Worried? She's been making strange moves lately, calling emergency board meetings, suggesting radical leadership changes. He rubbed his temples. This morning, she asked me to transfer significant company shares to a trust she's creating. Did she say why? Something about securing the family's future. But the timing feels off. We're more profitable than ever, thanks in part to those marketing strategies you suggested. I forced a neutral expression. Have you talked to Landon about this? Tried to, but you know how he gets when it comes to his mother. Max leaned forward. Actually, I wanted to run something by you. How would you feel about taking a more active role in the company? A knock interrupted before I could respond. Landon poked his head in. Mother's looking for you, Max. Something about the seating arrangements? God help me, Max muttered, standing. Think about what I said, Jennifer. We could use someone with your insight. As he left, Landon studied my face. What was that about? Nothing important, I said quickly. Just party details. You've been different lately, he said softly. Distant. Is everything okay? For a moment, I wanted to tell him everything. About the company I'd built, the acquisition, his mother's manipulation. But then Yvonne's voice carried down the hallway. Landon, there you are. Chelsea just arrived. Come say hello. His face lit up. Chelsea's here? I haven't seen her in ages. My stomach twisted. Go ahead. Don't keep them waiting. Once alone, I slipped into the empty boardroom next door. Through the thin wall, I could hear voices from the event space. The prodigal daughter returns. Yvonne's voice dripped with warmth she'd never shown me. Doesn't Chelsea look stunning, Landon? Harvard Law certainly agrees with her. You look great, Landon agreed. How long are you staying? Through next week's party, at least, Chelsea replied. Yvonne has big plans for the celebration. Yes, Yvonne said. Very big plans. Max, darling, there you are. We need to discuss those share transfers immediately. Their voices moved away, but I stayed frozen in place. Share transfers. Chelsea's extended stay. The way Yvonne emphasized big plans. My phone buzzed. A text from Hope. Eugene says acquisition paperwork is ready. We're ahead of schedule. You sure about this? Another voice drifted through the wall. Max, speaking in low tones. I don't like it, Eugene. These rushed changes, the secret meetings. Something's not right. Mrs. Willis is within her legal rights. Eugene responded, sounding tired. Though perhaps the timing is unfortunate. Unfortunate? The company's facing its biggest transition in years, and she's focused on some mystery announcement at a party? I'd heard enough. Stepping into the hallway, I nearly collided with Chelsea. "Jennifer?" She smiled warmly. "I was hoping to run into you. Yvonne's told me so much." "Has she?" I matched her smile. "Funny, she's told me almost nothing about you." "Oh, you'll learn everything soon enough." She touched my arm. "I hope we can be friends. After all, we're both so invested in this family's future." Before I could respond, my phone buzzed again. "Hope. Emergency, call now." "Excuse me," I said, already walking away. "I need to take this." In the privacy of the elevator, I called Hope. "They're moving up the board meeting," she said without preamble. "To tomorrow morning, Eugene just told me." "What? Why?" "Something about voting on major structural changes before the party. Jen, if they reorganize before the acquisition is complete..." "They can't." I pressed the lobby button harder than necessary. "Call Eugene. Tell him we're executing tonight. I don't care what it takes." "Are you sure? Once we move, there's no going back." Through the closing elevator doors, I caught one last glimpse of Landon laughing at something Chelsea said, Yvonne watching them with satisfied eyes. "I'm sure," I said. "It's time to end this game." The emergency board meeting felt like a powder keg waiting to explode. I sat in my usual corner spot, watching board members file in while Yvonne held court at the head of the table, Chelsea conspicuously placed at her right hand. "Before we begin," Yvonne announced, "I'd like to introduce Chelsea properly. She'll be joining us as a legal consultant for our upcoming transitions." Max shifted uncomfortably. "Transitions we haven't voted on yet." "Mere formalities." Yvonne waved her hand dismissively. "Now, regarding the share transfers..." The boardroom door burst open. Eugene hurried in, clutching a stack of papers, his face flushed. "I apologize for the interruption, but there's an urgent matter." "It can wait." Yvonne cut him off. "We have important..." "It cannot wait," Eugene insisted, his voice unusually firm. "The company has received a binding acquisition offer." The room erupted in murmurs. Landon's head snapped up from his phone. "What?" "Impossible." Yvonne spat. "Who would dare?" "A tech consortium," Eugene continued, distributing documents. "They've already secured majority shareholder support. The deal is, effectively, done." I watched the color drain from Yvonne's face as she scanned the papers. This is a complete takeover," Max finished, whistling low. "And at these numbers, it's a damn good offer. But the timing," Chelsea interjected, mask of sweetness slipping. "Surely we can delay." "I'm afraid not," Eugene said. "The paperwork was finalized last night. All that remains is the formal announcement." Landon hadn't moved, staring at the acquisition documents. "Mother, what's going on?" "Nothing," Yvonne snapped. "This is clearly a mistake. A hostile takeover attempt that will squash immediately. Chelsea, call your firm..." "Actually..." I stood up, my heart pounding but my voice steady. "It's not hostile at all. The majority shareholders voted quite willingly. Isn't that right, Eugene?" The room fell silent. Every head turned toward me. "Jennifer?" Landon's voice cracked. "What do you know about this?" "She knows nothing," Yvonne snarled. "She's just the wife who built a tech empire right under your nose." I finished. "While you were planning parties and arranging marriages, I was arranging something else entirely." Chelsea's perfectly manicured hand crumpled the papers. "You're bluffing." I pulled out my phone, projecting my company's portfolio onto the boardroom screen. 3 years, 15 patents, over 200 employees, and as of last night, majority ownership of this company. "No," Yvonne whispered. "No, no, no. Yes." I turned to face her directly. "Did you really think I'd just stand by while you tried to replace me? While you planned to announce my husband's new future at our anniversary party?" Landon stood so quickly his chair toppled backward. What? Chelsea at least had the decency to look embarrassed. Landon, I can explain. Don't bother. I cut in. The papers tell the whole story. Your law firm's involvement, the trust fund Yvonne was creating in your name, the planned announcement at the party. Mother? Landon's voice was deadly quiet. Is this true? Yvonne's composure cracked. I was trying to protect you, to secure your future with someone worthy of this family. By ambushing me at my anniversary party? He turned to Chelsea. And you agreed to this? It wasn't like that, Chelsea protested. Yvonne said you were unhappy, that you wanted... What I want, Landon interrupted, has never mattered to any of you, has it? Max cleared his throat. Perhaps we should focus on the acquisition. Yes, I said. Let's. As new majority shareholder, I'm calling an emergency vote. First order of business, restructuring the board. You can't do this, Yvonne hissed. I already have. I distributed more documents. You'll find your severance packages more than generous. Chelsea, I assume you can find your own way out. Landon, Yvonne pleaded. Stop her. But Landon was staring at me like he'd never seen me before. All this time, you were building a company? Yes. And you didn't tell me because I needed to prove something. I met his gaze. To them, to you, to myself, the room held its breath. 7 years of marriage balanced on this moment. Finally, Landon smiled. Well, I guess that makes you my boss now. Actually, I couldn't help smiling back. I'm everyone's boss now. Yvonne slammed her hands on the table. This isn't over. Oh, but it is. I gathered my things. Board meeting adjourned. And Yvonne? Don't worry about the anniversary party. I'll handle the arrangements from here. As I walked out, head high, I heard Max mutter, Now that's what I call a hostile takeover. For the first time in 7 years, I felt truly, completely free. The silence in our penthouse was deafening. Landon hadn't spoken a word during the car ride home, and now he stood by the window, drink in hand, watching the city lights flicker below. Say something. I finally broke the silence. Please, he turned, his expression unreadable. 3 years. You spent 3 years building an empire in secret. I couldn't tell you. I started, but he cut me off. No, let me finish. He set down his glass. 3 years of watching my mother belittle you, of me saying nothing. Of course you couldn't tell me. I hadn't expected that. You're not angry? Angry? He laughed, but there was no humor in it. I'm furious. At my mother, at myself, at this whole mess. He ran a hand through his hair. But at you? How can I be angry when you did exactly what I should have done years ago? The doorbell rang, interrupting the moment. Hope burst in before I could answer it. Your phones are blowing up. She waved her tablet. The business news is going crazy. Unknown tech entrepreneur acquires industry giant. Mystery woman takes down family empire. You're trending. Hope, Landon said quietly. Could we have a moment? Oh, right. Sorry. She backed toward the door. But Jen, call me later. Yvonne's already making moves. After she left, Landon poured another drink. Making moves? Care to explain? She's called 3 different law firms, I admitted, trying to challenge the acquisition, but it won't work. Everything's legal. That's not what I meant. He faced me. What moves is she making against us? Against you? My phone buzzed, a text from Eugene. Yvonne attempting to freeze family assets, trying to block access to anniversary party venue. She's trying to shut me out. I showed him the message, like she always has. Landon's jaw tightened. The party's still happening? It has to. Everyone who's anyone in the business world will be there. The perfect place to announce the new company direction. And humiliate my mother. I met his gaze. Would that be so wrong, after what she planned to do to us? He was quiet for a long moment. You know what hurts the most? Not the secret company, not the takeover. It's that I never saw it. Any of it. My mother's manipulation, your potential. I was blind to all of it. You saw what you wanted to see, I said softly. We all did. The doorbell rang again. This time it was Max. Sorry to interrupt. He looked between us awkwardly. But Jennifer, we need to talk strategy. The board members are split. Some are calling for emergency meetings. Others are threatening to resign. Let them, I said. We'll rebuild with people who share our vision. Our vision? Max raised an eyebrow. Unless you're planning to resign too? He grinned. Are you kidding? This is the most excitement we've had in years. I'm in. Good. I pulled out my laptop. Because I need your help planning the party. Jennifer? Landon interrupted. Before we do this, are you sure? Once we announce everything publicly, there's no going back. No reconciliation with my mother. Landon, I touched his arm. Your mother was going to announce your future marriage to another woman at our anniversary party. I think we're past reconciliation. Max choked on his drink. She was going to what? Ask Chelsea, I said dryly, though she might be busy updating her resume. My phone buzzed again. Hope sending security camera footage from the office. Yvonne was clearing out her office, Chelsea helping her pack files. They're not going quietly, Max observed. Good. I closed my laptop. Because neither am I. Landon wrapped an arm around my waist, surprising me. Then let's do this right. Make it a party they'll never forget. You're with me? I searched his face. I should have been with you from the start. He kissed my forehead. Better late than never. Max cleared his throat. As touching as this is, we have a crisis to manage. The press is demanding statements, shareholders are panicking. Let them panic, I said. By this time next week, they'll understand exactly why this change had to happen. My phone lit up with another message. Yvonne. You have no idea what you've started. I showed it to Landon, who took the phone and typed a reply. Actually, Mother, for once, we know exactly what we're doing. As Max began outlining damage control strategies, I watched my husband. Really watched him. For the first time in our marriage, he stood tall, unburdened by his mother's expectations. Sometimes you have to tear everything down to build something better. I just hoped we were building something stronger than what we'd destroyed. But first, we had a party to plan. What do you mean my access has been denied? I stared at the security guard blocking the entrance to the plaza's grand ballroom. The anniversary party was due to start in less than an hour, and guests were already arriving. I'm sorry, ma'am. He checked his tablet again. But Mrs. Yvonne specifically updated the list this morning. You're not on it. Hope grabbed my arm. She can't do this. You own the company. The venue contract is still in her name, I realized, watching through the glass doors as Yvonne directed caterers inside. She caught my eye and smiled, giving a small wave. My phone buzzed. Landon. Stuck in traffic. Mother's doing? Your mother's locked me out of our own anniversary party, I texted back. Of all the petty, vindictive... Hope stopped mid-rant as Chelsea walked past us into the ballroom, not even trying to hide her smirk. That's it. I pulled out my phone. Max, we need that backup plan. Now. 10 minutes later, Max arrived with Eugene in tow, both looking harried. The venue won't budge, Max reported. Yvonne's threatened to sue them if they let you in without her approval. Which she technically can do, Eugene added. The contract... I don't care about the contract. I cut him off. This is my anniversary party. My company announcement. I'm not letting her win. A commotion at the entrance drew our attention. Landon had arrived and he looked furious. Where is she? He stormed past the security guard who didn't dare stop him. Mother. I followed in his wake before anyone could object, Hope and Max close behind. The ballroom was stunning. Crystal chandeliers, white roses everywhere, exactly as Yvonne had planned. Except now she stood center stage, champagne in hand, Chelsea at her side. Landon, darling, Yvonne called out. Just in time. We were about to begin. Begin what? He demanded. Humiliating my wife? Destroying our marriage? Guests turned to watch, phones already recording. This was exactly what Yvonne wanted. A scene, a scandal, something to discredit me. I'm simply protecting our family's interests, Yvonne said smoothly. After that hostile takeover? Hostile? I laughed, drawing everyone's attention. Like plotting to announce my husband's new engagement at our anniversary party? Gasps rippled through the crowd. Chelsea took a step back, but Yvonne held her ground. Security, she called out. This woman is trespassing. 2 guards approached, but Max stepped forward. Actually, as acting CEO, I can confirm Mrs. Jennifer is exactly where she should be. Acting CEO? Yvonne's voice rose. You're taking her side? I'm taking the side of progress, Max answered. Something you might try sometime. The guards hesitated, looking between us. Oh, for heaven's sake, Yvonne snapped. Fine, stay. Make a fool of yourself. But this is still my party, and I have an announcement to make. She turned to address the crowd, but Landon grabbed the microphone first. Yes, Mother. Let's make announcements. Let's tell everyone how you tried to manipulate my marriage. How you plan to ambush us tonight. How you've spent 7 years trying to drive away the best thing that ever happened to this family. The best thing? Yvonne scoffed. She stole our company. No. I stepped forward. I built something better than your company. Something that will actually make a difference in the world. And I did it while you were too busy planning my replacement to notice. Hope appeared with a laptop, connecting it to the ballroom's projection system. My company's portfolio appeared on the massive screens. The innovations, the patents, the future plans. Ladies and gentlemen, I addressed the stunned crowd. Welcome to the future of Willis Technologies, a future built on merit, not manipulation, on innovation, not inheritance. Phones flashed as reporters in the crowd started taking notes. This wasn't the scandal Yvonne had planned. It was better. You can't do this, Yvonne whispered, but her voice shook. I already have. I took Landon's hand. Happy anniversary to us. And Mother, you might want to check your email. Your resignation letter is waiting. Chelsea slipped away through the crowd as Yvonne stood frozen, her perfect party crumbling around her. Well, Max raised his glass. I believe this calls for a toast. To the new CEO of Willis Technologies and to karma. The crowd raised their glasses, the mood shifting from scandal to celebration. Landon pulled me close, whispering, I love you, and I'm so damn proud of you. Yvonne's face had gone from red to white. She grabbed her purse and headed for the exit, pausing only to hiss, This isn't over. Actually, Mother, Landon called after her. For once it is. As the party resumed around us, now with a very different energy, Hope squeezed my hand. Worth getting locked out for? I watched Yvonne's retreating back, 7 years of powerlessness finally lifting from my shoulders. Worth every second. The morning after the party, I sat at what used to be Yvonne's desk, watching the sun rise over the city. The headlines were everywhere. Tech's newest power player. Family drama leads to corporate coup. Daughter-in-law's sweet revenge. A knock at the door interrupted my thoughts. Max entered, carrying 2 coffee cups. The vultures are circling, he announced, handing me a cup. Every news outlet in the country wants an interview. The shareholders are demanding meetings, and 3 competing companies have already reached out about potential mergers. Let them wait, I said, pulling up the company's internal messaging system. We have more important things to handle first. The mass email? Are you sure about this? Every employee deserves to know where they stand. I hit send, and thousands of notifications went out across the company. Within minutes, my phone started ringing. Hope burst in, tablet in hand. It's working. The employee forums are exploding. People are crying at their desks. Happy tears. I smiled, remembering what I'd written. Full benefits for all employees, regardless of position. Parental leave doubled. Pay equity reviews. On-site childcare. Everything Yvonne had dismissed as unnecessary coddling. Mrs. Jennifer? My assistant poked her head in. The board members are arriving for the emergency meeting. Show them in. The boardroom filled quickly. Some faces were nervous, others excited. A few chairs sat conspicuously empty, Yvonne's supporters who'd resigned in protest. Thank you all for coming. I stood at the head of the table. I know change is scary. Scary? One of the older board members interrupted. You've upended decades of tradition. Traditions that weren't working. Landon spoke up from his seat. Or have you forgotten last quarter's innovation rankings? The numbers don't lie, Max added, distributing reports. We've been stagnating while smaller companies, like Jennifer's, have been revolutionizing the industry. Speaking of numbers, I pressed a button and new projections filled the screens. These are our growth forecasts under the new structure. Notice anything? The room fell silent as they studied the data. Even the skeptics looked impressed. This is ambitious. Someone finally said, It's necessary. I corrected. We're not just changing leadership. We're changing culture, starting with this. I revealed the next slide, a complete reorganization chart. Women and minorities in key positions. Young innovators promoted. Old guard redistributed or retired. You can't just... Another protest began. Actually, I can, but I won't. I smiled. Because every person in this room has 48 hours to prove why they deserve to be part of our future. Show me your value, not your voting shares. The door burst open. Eugene rushed in, looking flustered. Jennifer, we have a situation. Yvonne's filed an injunction. Already handled. Hope interrupted, waving her tablet. The judge threw it out 10 minutes ago. Apparently, he's not a fan of frivolous lawsuits from disgraced executives. My phone buzzed. A text from Chelsea. Can we talk? Privately? Send her up, I told my assistant. To the board, I added, meeting adjourned. You have 48 hours. Make them count. As the room cleared, Chelsea entered. Gone was the polished corporate lawyer. She looked tired, human. I'm sorry, she said immediately. I never meant... Yvonne said Landon was unhappy, that the company needed saving. I didn't know... Save it. I cut her off. You're a brilliant lawyer, Chelsea. Too brilliant to be someone else's pawn. She blinked. What? I'm offering you a choice. Leave with Yvonne, chase her vendetta. Or stay, head our new legal department, and actually make a difference. You'd trust me? After everything? Trust is earned, like respect. I handed her a contract. Your choice. She stared at the paper for a long moment. Then, straightening her shoulders, she pulled out a pen. Smart choice, Landon said from the doorway. He'd been watching silently. Landon, Chelsea started. No apologies needed. Just do better. After she left, Landon pulled me into his arms. You know Mother will keep fighting. Let her try. We've got something she never had. What's that? People who actually believe in what we're doing. My phone buzzed again. Yvonne's number. I declined the call. The press is waiting downstairs, Hope reminded me. Ready to face the cameras? I looked around what was now my office. My company. My future. Actually, I said, I have a better idea. Max, call a company-wide meeting. All employees, all levels. It's time they heard from their new CEO directly. And Yvonne? Hope asked. She can watch it on the news like everyone else. For the first time in 7 years, I didn't care what Yvonne thought. I had a company to run, a culture to change, and a future to build. And this was just the beginning. The autumn breeze carried the scent of coffee from the new employee cafe as I crossed the renovated courtyard of our corporate headquarters. Workers lounged on modern benches, laptops open, collaborating freely, exactly as I'd envisioned. Mrs. Jennifer. A young programmer waved. The new maternal leave policy changed my life. I can actually see my baby grow up. I smiled, remembering Yvonne's words. Sentiment has no place in business. Inside, Hope met me at the elevator. Ready for this? Is anyone ever ready to face their mother-in-law in court? The elevator opened to reveal Max and Chelsea, both clutching legal briefs. "She's already there," Chelsea reported, "with 3 lawyers and a PR team." "Of course she is." I straightened my jacket. "Let's end this." The courthouse buzzed with reporters. As we entered, I spotted Landon already seated in the front row. He stood when he saw me, straightening his tie. The one I'd given him on our first anniversary. "Mother's asking for one last meeting," he said quietly, "before the judge arrives." I nodded. "Where?" "Conference room B. She's waiting." Inside, Yvonne sat alone, looking smaller somehow without her usual entourage. She'd aged in the past few months, the stress showing in new lines around her eyes. "Come to gloat?" she asked. "No." I sat across from her. "Come to end this." "End this?" She laughed bitterly. "You stole my company, my son, my legacy. I built something better than your legacy," I interrupted. "Have you seen the quarterly reports? Our innovation rate has tripled. Employee satisfaction is at record highs, even the stock price." "Numbers," she spat. "That's all you care about." Actually, I pulled out my phone, showing her our company's social media feed. "I care about people, like Sarah in accounting, who can finally afford her son's medical treatment, or Miguel in tech, whose green energy initiative is revolutionizing our carbon footprint, or..." "Enough." She slammed her hand on the table. "What do you want?" "For you to see what I've always seen, that this company could be more than just a family empire. It could make a real difference." "And my son? Was he just part of your master plan?" "Mother." Landon spoke from the doorway. I hadn't heard him enter. "You know better than that." "Do I?" Her voice cracked. "I don't know anything anymore." I reached into my briefcase, pulling out a document. "Yes, you do. You know this lawsuit is pointless. You know we're doing good work. And you know I'm offering you a choice." She stared at the paper. "What is this?" "A consulting position. Advisory only, no executive power. But your experience, your connections, they could still benefit the company. If you're willing to work with us instead of against us." "Why would you offer me anything?" "Because unlike you, I don't believe in destroying people to get ahead." I stood. "Your choice, Yvonne. Keep fighting and lose everything, or help us build something better than either of us imagined." The silence stretched. Finally, she picked up the document, reading carefully. "The child care center," she said suddenly. "The one you're building on the East Campus. It needs better security protocols." "I know." I smiled slightly. "That's exactly the kind of insight we could use." She looked at Landon, then back at me. Slowly, she reached for a pen. "If I sign this," she said, "I want one thing in return." "Name it." "Sunday dinners with my son and my daughter-in-law." Landon squeezed my hand. I nodded. "Deal." Outside, reporters clamored as we emerged together. Chelsea quickly addressed them. "All parties have reached an amicable agreement. No further comments." Back at the office, Hope was waiting with champagne. "To new beginnings?" "To family," Landon corrected, wrapping an arm around me. "The ones we're born with, and the ones we build." My phone buzzed. A message from Max. "East Campus childcare plans on your desk. Yvonne's already made notes. Think this will work?" Hope asked quietly. I watched through my office window as Yvonne spoke with our design team, gesturing animatedly about security cameras. 7 years of warfare, ending not with destruction, but with possibility. "It has to," I said, "because some things are more important than winning." "Like family?" Landon asked. "Like proving that success doesn't have to come at someone else's expense." I turned to face my husband. "Like showing that sometimes the best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's building something so amazing that your enemies want to be part of it." "Speaking of building," Hope grinned, "wait until you see the new innovation lab designs. Your mother-in-law actually had some brilliant suggestions." I laughed. "Of course she did. She's family after all. And for the first time, those words felt completely true.
The text message lit up my phone screen like an unwanted ghost from the past. Saw your sister today. She's not doing well. Thought you should know. I stared at those words from Logan, someone I hadn't spoken to in years, and felt my carefully constructed world wobble on its axis. My name is Mara, and my twin sister Soleil hasn't been part of my life for the past 3 years. Not since she destroyed everything I held dear with a few carefully crafted lies. Earth to Mara! Luna waved her hand in front of my face, nearly knocking over her coffee cup. We were sitting in our usual spot at Cornerstone Cafe, where we met every Thursday to discuss freelance projects. You look like you've seen a ghost. Something like that, I muttered, sliding my phone across the table. Luna's eyes widened as she read the message. Oh shit. Are you going to respond? Delete and block, like always. I took a sip of my now lukewarm latte, trying to ignore the tremor in my hands. I've got enough on my plate with the Morrison website launch next week. You can't avoid her forever, you know. She's still your twin. Watch me. I pulled up my laptop, determined to focus on work, but the memories crashed through anyway. The last family dinner, the accusations, my mother's tears, my father's disappointment. Remember what happened last time? I asked, my fingers hovering motionless over the keyboard. When she told everyone I'd stolen money from Dad's business to fund my drug habit, the same week she miraculously saved the company from an accounting error she'd discovered. Luna reached across the table and squeezed my hand. That was awful. But you've built a new life now. A successful one. Yeah, and I'd like to keep it that way. My phone buzzed again. Another message from Logan. She's asking about you. Fuck this, I muttered, shoving back from the table. I need some air. Outside, the autumn wind whipped my hair around my face as I paced the sidewalk. A familiar voice called out, stopping me in my tracks. Mara, is that really you? I turned to see Stefan jogging across the street, his usual messenger bag bouncing against his hip. He'd been my rock during the fallout with my family, the only one who'd known me well enough to see through Soleil's lies. Hey, I managed, trying to force a smile. Bad timing? I know that look, he said, studying my face. What's she done now? I showed him the messages. His jaw tightened as he read them. Logan reached out to you? That's interesting, Stefan mused, considering his history with Soleil's investment scheme. What investment scheme? You haven't heard? It's all over the local business circles. Soleil convinced several people to invest in some sort of startup. It went south fast. Logan lost quite a bit of money. A laugh bubbled up from my chest, surprising us both. Karma's a bitch, isn't it? Mara? Stefan's voice held a warning note. Don't worry, I'm not going to do anything stupid. I leaned against the brick wall of the cafe, closing my eyes. But you have to admit, it's a little satisfying. Your mom called me last week, Stefan said quietly. Asked how you were doing. My eyes snapped open. What did you tell her? The truth. That you're doing great. That your design business is taking off. That you're stronger than ever. She could have asked me herself. Maybe she's afraid you won't answer. Maybe she should have believed me 3 years ago instead of her perfect daughter. The bitterness in my voice surprised even me. Luna appeared in the doorway of the cafe, holding my laptop bag. Your 2 o'clock client is calling. Right. I straightened up, pulling my professional mask back into place. Thanks for the heads up about Soleil, Stefan. But I've got work to do. Just be careful, okay? Stefan caught my arm as I turned to leave. Whatever's happening with her, it might affect you too. Not anymore, I said firmly. But as I walked back into the cafe, Logan's words echoed in my mind. She's not doing well. She's asking about you. For the first time in 3 years, I saved the messages instead of deleting them. Something told me this wasn't over. Not by a long shot. Luna watched me gather my things, concern etched on her face. You okay? I'm fine, I lied, slinging my bag over my shoulder. It's just another Thursday, right? But as I headed to my car, my phone buzzed one final time. A new message, this one from an unknown number. Mara, please, I need your help. S. I stood there, key in hand, while my past and present collided in 12 simple words. And despite everything inside me screaming to ignore it, I knew my carefully constructed piece was about to shatter. She lost everything. Stefan's voice crackled through my phone speaker as I paced my home office. The startup was a scam from the beginning. She convinced 20 people to invest, including Logan and 2 of your dad's business partners. I sank into my desk chair, staring at the string of desperate texts Soleil had sent over the past 3 days. How much? Close to 2 million total. Logan lost 300,000 alone. Jesus Christ. I rubbed my temples, feeling a headache building. And Dad? He didn't invest, thank God, but his reputation took a hit since she used his name to convince others to buy in. My laptop pinged with a new email notification, another potential client reaching out for design work. My business was thriving, built from scratch after Soleil's lies had cost me my position at our father's company. The irony wasn't lost on me. There's more, Stefan continued. She's being investigated for fraud. Logan and the others filed complaints. A knock at my door made me jump. Luna stood in the doorway holding 2 cups of coffee. Stefan, I'll call you back, I said, ending the call. Luna, what are you doing here? Bringing reinforcements. She set a cup in front of me. You weren't at our morning meeting and you're never late. I got worried. I showed her Soleil's latest message. Please meet me. I'll explain everything. I know I don't deserve it, but I'm begging you. Are you going to? I don't know. I took a sip of coffee, grateful for its warmth. Part of me wants to watch her crash and burn. And the other part? Before I could answer, my phone rang. Unknown number. My heart jumped to my throat. Hello? Mara? My mother's voice, thick with tears. Have you heard from your sister? I gripped the coffee cup tighter. Mum, she's not answering her phone. The police came to the house this morning asking questions. Your father is beside himself. Why are you calling me? The words came out sharper than intended. You haven't bothered for 3 years. A pause. I know. I should have listened to you back then. But right now, I'm worried about Soleil. If she contacts you... You mean like she has been for the past 3 days? I cut in. While I've been ignoring her? Oh, thank God. Mom's relief was palpable. Please, honey, just talk to her. She needs help. Like I needed help when she destroyed my life? The bitter laugh escaped before I could stop it. That's rich, Mom. Luna touched my arm, a silent reminder to breathe. I deserve that, Mom said quietly, but please, she's still your sister. After I hung up, Luna studied my face. What are you thinking? I'm thinking karma's finally caught up with her. I pulled up my email, clicking on the latest message. And I have work to do. Mara. Luna's tone made me look up. You're not really going to ignore her, are you? Why shouldn't I? Because you're better than that, and because you'll always wonder what would have happened if you'd answered. My phone buzzed again. Another text from Soleil. I'm at Riverfront Park, by the fountain. I'll wait here all day if I have to. Shit. I stood up, grabbing my keys. Cover for me with the Morrison client? Luna smiled. Already rescheduled for tomorrow. Go. The park was quiet for a weekday morning. I spotted her immediately, sitting alone on a bench, her head bowed. She looked smaller somehow, her designer clothes replaced by jeans and a simple sweater. Her hair, usually perfectly styled, was pulled back in a messy ponytail. She looked up as I approached, her face, my face, streaked with tears. You came. I'm here, I said coldly, remaining standing. Talk. I screwed up. Really screwed up. Her voice cracked. They're going to arrest me, Mara. I need... My help? I crossed my arms. Like you helped me 3 years ago? I know I don't deserve it. But you're the only one who might understand. The only one who knows what it's like to lose everything. Because you made sure I lost it all. The words tasted like ash in my mouth. Why should I help you? She reached into her bag, pulling out an envelope. Because I'm ready to tell the truth. About everything. I'll confess to what I did to you. Clear your name. Just, please, help me fix this. I stared at the envelope, my heart pounding. 3 years of pain, of rebuilding, of proving myself. And now she wanted my help? Please, she whispered. I know I'm toxic. I know I'm manipulative. But I'm also scared. And you're the strongest person I know. I took the envelope, my fingers trembling slightly. I'll think about it. As I walked away, leaving her crying on the bench, I realized I had a choice to make: help her and risk getting burned again, or walk away and live with the consequences. The envelope felt heavy in my hand, weighted with possibilities and dangers, and somewhere deep inside, a plan began to form. You want me to do what? Soleil's voice echoed across the nearly empty cafe. We'd agreed to meet at closing time, when fewer people would be around to witness our conversation. You heard me. I stirred my tea calmly, watching her face contort with disbelief. A public confession. In front of everyone you lied to. That's my condition for helping you. I can't. She glanced around nervously, even though the only other person present was the barista wiping down tables across the room. The legal implications alone. The truth is going to come out anyway, I cut in. The question is whether you want to control the narrative or let the police do it for you. Soleil's hands shook as she reached for her water glass. 3 days had passed since our meeting in the park, and she looked even worse now. Dark circles under her eyes, bitten nails, designer watch conspicuously missing from her wrist. There's something else, she whispered. Something I haven't told anyone. Of course there is. I leaned back in my chair. There always is with you. I'm pregnant. The words hung in the air between us. I studied her face for any sign of manipulation, but found only raw fear. 8 weeks, she continued. The father. He was one of the investors. He doesn't know. Jesus, Soleil. I ran a hand through my hair. Logan? She nodded miserably. I never meant for any of this to happen. The investment scheme seemed foolproof at first. Then things started falling apart, and I kept trying to fix it, but you just made it worse, I finished. Like you always do. The barista approached our table. Sorry, ladies, we're closing in 5 minutes. We gathered our things and stepped out into the cool evening air. Soleil grabbed my arm as I turned toward my car. What exactly would this public confession entail? Everything, I said firmly. The lies about me stealing from Dad, the fake drug addiction story, how you manipulated the company's books to make yourself look like a hero. All of it. Mom and Dad will never forgive me. They forgave you for destroying my life. The words came out sharper than intended. Maybe they'll surprise you again. Soleil wrapped her arms around herself, looking suddenly young and vulnerable. When? I'll arrange it. This weekend. I'll invite everyone who needs to be there. Mom, Dad, Logan, the other investors. You'll tell them everything. And then you'll help me? I pulled out my phone, showing her the screen. I've already been in contact with my friend Marcus. He's a criminal defense attorney. He's willing to take your case, but only if you come clean about everything first. Everything? Her voice cracked. Everything. I stepped closer, lowering my voice. This is your one chance, Soleil. Take it or leave it. She was quiet for a long moment, streetlights casting shadows across her face. My face, but harder somehow, worn by years of deception. Okay, she finally whispered. I'll do it. I'll text you the details tomorrow. I turned to leave, but paused. And Soleil? If you're playing me again... I'm not, she said quickly. I swear. I watched her walk to her car, a beat-up Honda instead of her usual luxury vehicle, before pulling out my phone to call Stefan. Well, he answered on the first ring. She agreed. But there's a complication. She's pregnant. Shit. A pause. Logan's? Yeah, start making calls. I want everyone there on Saturday. Mara. Stefan's voice held a warning note. Are you sure about this? Public humiliation isn't usually your style. This isn't about humiliation, I said, watching Soleil's taillights disappear around the corner. It's about truth and consequences. After hanging up, I sat in my car for a long moment, remembering the day everything fell apart. The family meeting where Soleil had tearfully discovered evidence of my supposed theft and drug use. The way our parents had looked at me, horror and disappointment in their eyes, the shame of being escorted out of the building I'd worked in since college. My phone buzzed with a text from Luna. How did it go? She agreed, but there's more at stake than we thought. Want to talk about it? Tomorrow, I replied. Right now I need to make some arrangements. I started my car, mind already racing with plans. The venue would need to be private but public enough to make an impact. Everyone would need to be there, our parents, Logan, the other investors, even some of Dad's business partners who'd shunned me after the accusations. As I drove home, another text came through from Soleil. Thank you for giving me a chance. I won't let you down this time. I didn't respond. After all, actions speak louder than words. A lesson Soleil was about to learn the hard way. The private room at Bellamy's? Luna raised an eyebrow as she helped me arrange chairs in the upscale restaurant. Isn't this a bit dramatic? It's perfect. I adjusted a place card on one of the tables. Private enough for discretion, public enough that she can't back out. Stefan entered, carrying a small audio recorder. Everyone's confirmed. Logan was interesting to convince. What do you mean? He seemed nervous, like he's hiding something. Stefan set the recorder on the main table. Are you sure this is just about the investment scheme? Before I could respond, my phone buzzed. A text from Soleil. Can we meet before everyone arrives? Please. She's early, I muttered, showing them the message. Luna squeezed my arm. Want us to stay? No. I need to handle this alone. I straightened my blazer. But stick close? They nodded, heading toward the bar area as I texted Soleil back. 5 minutes later, she slipped into the room, looking pale in a simple black dress. There's something you need to know, she said without preamble, about Logan. If you're having second thoughts, he knew. She sank into a chair. About the investment scheme. He knew it was fraudulent from the beginning. I felt the blood drain from my face. What? He helped me set it up. The whole thing was his idea. Her hands twisted in her lap. He only turned on me when it started falling apart. And the baby? Was a mistake. A drunk night after everything went wrong. She laughed bitterly. He told me to take care of it or he'd make sure I took all the blame. I sat down heavily. Why are you telling me this now? Because... She met my eyes. I'm ready to tell the whole truth. Not just about what I did to you, but about everything. Logan included. The door opened and Stefan poked his head in. People are starting to arrive. I nodded, mind racing. Give us a minute. Once he left, I turned back to Soleil. If you're lying to me again. I'm not. She pulled out her phone, showing me a series of text messages between her and Logan. I have proof. Of everything. I read through the messages, my hands shaking. They detailed the entire scheme from inception to collapse. Logan's role was clear and damning. Why didn't you show me this before? Because I was ashamed. Tears spilled down her cheeks. Not just of the scheme, but of everything. What I did to you. It was unforgivable. And it started long before Logan. I was so jealous of you, Mara. You were always the strong one, the talented one. I thought if I could just tear you down. The door opened again. Our parents entered, followed by Logan and several other investors. The room suddenly felt too small. Showtime, I whispered, standing up. Logan's eyes darted between Soleil and me, his confident facade cracking slightly when he saw her phone in my hand. Thank you all for coming, I began, my voice steady despite my racing heart. We're here because Soleil has something to share with everyone. Our mother reached for Dad's hand as Soleil stood up. She looked at me once, received my slight nod, and began to speak. 3 years ago, I destroyed my sister's life with a series of lies. Her voice grew stronger as she continued, detailing everything. The false accusations, the manipulated evidence, the years of jealousy that led to it. Our mother's soft crying filled the pauses. Dad's face grew darker with each revelation. But when Soleil reached the part about the investment scheme, Logan suddenly stood up. That's enough, he snapped. You don't know what you're saying. Show them, I said quietly to Soleil. She projected the text messages onto the wall using a small portable projector from her purse. Logan's face went white as his own words appeared for all to see. "You set this up?" One of the investors stood, pointing at Logan. "You orchestrated the whole thing?" The room erupted into chaos. Logan tried to leave, but Stefan blocked the door. Our father was on his feet, shouting. Investors were calling their lawyers. Through it all, Soleil kept talking, her voice clear and unwavering as she laid bare every lie, every manipulation, every scheme, including her own role in all of it. I watched it unfold, feeling strangely hollow. This was what I wanted. The truth exposed, justice served. But as I saw the devastation on our parents' faces, the fury in Logan's eyes, the mix of relief and despair in Soleil's tears, I realized this was just the beginning. The truth, as it turned out, was more complicated than even I had imagined, and we were all about to face its consequences. The police arrived within 20 minutes of Logan's attempted escape. As they led him away in handcuffs, my mother approached me, her mascara streaked down her cheeks. "Did you know," she asked, her voice barely above a whisper, "about Logan's involvement?" "Not until today." I watched as investors huddled with their phones, presumably calling lawyers. Soleil told me just before everyone arrived. "All these years?" Mom's hands trembled as she reached for mine. "We believed such horrible things about you. I believed such horrible things." "Mom, don't." I pulled away. "Not now." Dad stood by the window, his back rigid as he spoke quietly with Marcus, the defense attorney I'd brought for Soleil. She sat alone at the table, looking smaller than ever. "What happens now?" Mom asked. "Now?" I gathered my things. "Now I go home. I have work tomorrow." "Mara, please." She grabbed my arm. "We need to talk about this. As a family." "A family?" I laughed sharply. "We haven't been a family since you chose to believe the worst about me without a shred of evidence." "I was wrong," her voice cracked. "We were all wrong, but your sister needs us now." "Like I needed you." The room had mostly cleared out, leaving just our family, Stefan, and Marcus. Soleil looked up as I approached her table. "The police will want to question you," I said, keeping my voice professional. "Marcus will help you through it. Tell them everything about Logan's involvement." "What about—" She gestured vaguely at her stomach. "That's your choice to make." I placed a business card in front of her. "This is Dr. Sarah Palmer. She's discreet and excellent at what she does. Whatever you decide." "Mara," Dad's voice came from behind me, "we should discuss this as a family." I turned to face him. "There's nothing to discuss." Soleil confessed. "Logan's arrested. The truth is out. That's what I wanted." "And what about forgiveness?" Mom asked softly. "Forgiveness?" I felt something snap inside me. "Let's talk about forgiveness. Let's talk about how you threw me out of the house without letting me defend myself. How you blocked my calls, my emails. How you told everyone in your social circle that I was a drug addict and a thief." "We were wrong," Dad said, his voice heavy. "We should have listened." "Yes, you should have." I grabbed my purse. "Stefan, can you make sure Soleil gets home safely?" He nodded, moving closer to my sister as I headed for the door. "Wait," Soleil called out. "What you did for me today, helping me tell the truth, thank you." I paused at the doorway. "I didn't do it for you. I did it because the truth matters. Because actions have consequences." "And what about my consequences?" she asked quietly. "What happens to me now?" "That depends on the police investigation. And on you." I turned back one last time. "The truth is out. What you do with it is your choice." Outside, Luna was waiting by my car. "You okay?" "No." I leaned against the cool metal. "But I will be." My phone buzzed. A text from Marcus. "Police want to interview you tomorrow. Standard procedure." "Need company tonight?" Luna asked, reading over my shoulder. "Actually, yes." I unlocked the car. "But first, I need a drink." We ended up at our usual bar where I told her everything. Logan's involvement, Soleil's pregnancy, my parents' attempts at reconciliation. So what now? Luna asked, signaling for another round. Are you going to let them back in? I don't know. I stared into my glass. Part of me wants to. Part of me is screaming to run. Maybe there's a middle ground? Before I could respond, my phone lit up with a text from Soleil. The police are releasing me for now. Logan's being held. They found evidence of other schemes on his computer. This goes deeper than anyone knew. Jesus, Luna muttered, reading the message. What are you going to do? Nothing. I put my phone away. The police can handle it now. I'm done playing family counselor. Are you, though? Luna raised an eyebrow. Because it seems to me like you're just getting started. She was right, of course. This wasn't over. The truth was out, but the aftermath was just beginning. My parents wanted reconciliation. Soleil needed support. Logan's schemes were unraveling. And somewhere in the middle of it all, I had to figure out what I wanted. My phone buzzed again, Mom this time. We're having dinner tomorrow night, just the family. Please come. I showed Luna the message. Going. I don't know. I signaled for the check. But I do know one thing. What's that? Whatever happens next, it's going to be on my terms, not theirs. The truth might set you free, but it also opens doors you never expected to walk through. The question was, which doors would I choose? The family home looked exactly the same. Pristine lawn, gleaming windows, perfect roses climbing the trellis. I sat in my car for 10 minutes before finding the courage to walk up the familiar path. Soleil opened the door before I could knock. You came. I'm not staying long. I stepped past her into the foyer, the scent of Mom's signature lasagna filling the air. I have an early meeting tomorrow. Mara! Mom emerged from the kitchen, wiping her hands on her apron. She moved to hug me but stopped short when I stiffened. We're so glad you're here. Dad appeared from his study, looking older than I remembered. The detective called today. They found evidence of Logan's schemes going back 5 years. Can we not talk about that? Soleil wrapped her arms around herself. Just for tonight? Actually, we need to. I placed my bag on the entry table. Because I got some interesting calls today. Everyone turned to look at me. 3 more people came forward, I continued, all claiming Logan scammed them before he met you, Soleil. And they all mentioned something interesting, a partner who helped him, a woman. Soleil's face went white. Mara! Don't! I held up my hand. Just tell me the truth. Were you working with him before the investment scheme? Before what you did to me? Soleil? Mom's voice shook. What is she talking about? My sister sank onto the stairs, tears streaming down her face. I met Logan 4 years ago. He showed me how easy it was to manipulate people, to take their money. The investment scheme wasn't our first con, it was just our biggest. And destroying my life? I asked quietly. Was that part of the con too? No, she looked up desperately. That was all me. My jealousy, my weakness. Logan didn't even know about it until after. Dad leaned heavily against the wall. How much money are we talking about? With all the schemes combined? Soleil wiped her eyes. Almost 4 million. Mum stumbled, catching herself on the banister. Oh my God. I'm telling the police everything, Soleil said quickly. About all of it. That's why I needed your help, Mara. Not just for the recent scheme, but for all of it. I can't live with the lies anymore. I sat down on the bottom step, keeping distance between us. Why now? Why not come clean years ago? Because I'm pregnant, she touched her stomach, and I don't want my child to have a mother who lives on lies, like I've been doing. Pregnant? Mom gasped. By Logan? Yes. Soleil's voice was barely audible. I have an appointment with Dr. Palmer tomorrow to discuss options. The silence that followed was deafening. Dad disappeared into his study, returning moments later with a glass of scotch. Mom sank into an armchair, looking shell-shocked. I'll go with you, I found myself saying, to the appointment. Everyone stared at me. Why would you do that? Soleil asked. After everything? Because you're finally telling the truth. And because... I took a deep breath. Because I know what it's like to face life-changing decisions alone. Mom started crying softly. Dad set down his glass and cleared his throat. The police will want to know about the other victims, he said. It could mean more charges. I know. Soleil straightened her shoulders. I'm ready to face the consequences. All of them. What about the baby? Mom asked. That's Soleil's decision, I cut in before anyone could say more. Not a family vote. When did you become so strong? Soleil asked quietly. When you forced me to be. I stood up. I should go. Stay, Mom pleaded. Please, we haven't even eaten. Another time. I picked up my bag. I need to process all this. At the door, Soleil caught my arm. The appointment's at 10 tomorrow. You don't have to. I'll be there at 9:30. I met her eyes, my eyes, but filled with a pain I'd never seen before. And Soleil, no more lies, about anything. I promise. As I drove home, my phone lit up with texts from Stefan and Luna, asking how it went. I ignored them, too overwhelmed to respond. The truth about Soleil was worse than I'd imagined, but her willingness to face it, that was unexpected. My phone rang, Marcus calling with an update. Logan's talking, he said without preamble, trying to cut a deal. He's naming names, dates, everything. Good. I pulled into my driveway. Let him talk. You okay? I thought about tomorrow's appointment, about Soleil's confession, about the years of lies finally unraveling. No, I answered honestly, but I think I might be. Eventually. The truth was messy and painful, but it was also freeing. And maybe, just maybe, it was the first step towards something real. 2 weeks after Soleil's decision to keep the baby, we sat in Marcus's office, facing the district attorney. The room felt too small for the weight of the moment. Full cooperation, the DA said, reviewing the papers in front of her. Names, dates, bank records, in exchange for a reduced sentence. How reduced? I asked, while Soleil gripped the arms of her chair. Given the extent of cooperation and her current condition, the DA glanced at Soleil's stomach. 2 years, mostly probation, some community service, and full restitution to all victims. And Logan? Soleil's voice trembled. Looking at 15 to 20. His previous schemes make a plea deal unlikely. Marcus leaned forward. When do you need an answer? Today. The DA stood up. The press conference is scheduled for tomorrow morning. Either Soleil appears with me to announce her cooperation, or we proceed with full charges. After she left, Soleil turned to me. What should I do? You know what you need to do. I handed her a pen. Sign the papers. Mom and Dad will be there tomorrow, at the press conference. She took the pen but didn't sign. Everyone will know everything. They already know. I stood up, pacing the office. The only difference is whether you face it on your terms or theirs. Marcus cleared his throat. The DA's offer is more than fair, considering the amount of money involved. Soleil signed the papers with shaking hands. As Marcus gathered them, she grabbed my arm. Will you be there tomorrow? Yes. I helped her up. But not for you. For me. It's time everyone heard the whole story. The next morning, the courthouse steps were crowded with reporters and familiar faces. Our parents stood to one side, Mom clutching Dad's arm. Luna and Stefan positioned themselves near the podium, offering silent support. The DA spoke first, outlining the case against Logan and announcing Soleil's cooperation. Then she stepped aside, making way for Soleil. My sister approached the podium wearing a simple black dress that couldn't hide her slight baby bump. Her hands shook as she unfolded her prepared statement. 4 years ago, I made a choice that started me down a path of deception. She looked up, meeting my eyes in the crowd. But my crimes didn't begin with the investment schemes. They began with betraying my twin sister. The reporters leaned forward, cameras clicking rapidly. I destroyed my sister's reputation with calculated lies. I manipulated my family, our friends, our business associates. I did it out of jealousy, out of a desperate need to prove myself better than her. Soleil's voice grew stronger. Then, I met Logan Brooks, who showed me how to turn my talent for deception into profit. She detailed the schemes, the victims, the millions stolen. Mum was crying openly now, Dad's face ashen as he supported her. But the worst crime I committed wasn't financial fraud. It was betraying the person who knew me best, my twin, my other half, Mara. Soleil turned to face me directly. I'm sorry for everything. You were always the stronger one, the better one, and I proved it by trying to destroy you. The reporters swung their cameras toward me. I stood straighter, meeting their lenses with steady eyes. I'm cooperating fully with the investigation, Soleil continued. Not just because it's right, but because I'm carrying a child. And I want this baby to know that even the worst mistakes can be faced with honesty. After the formal statements, as the crowd began to disperse, our parents approached me. You knew, Dad said quietly, about her cooperation. I helped arrange it. I watched as Marcus led Soleil to a waiting car. She needed to face consequences, but she also needed a chance to make things right. And us? Mom asked. Do we get that chance too? That depends. I turned to face them fully. Are you ready to hear the whole truth about what happened 3 years ago? Not Soleil's version, but mine. They nodded, and for the first time in years, I saw real willingness to listen in their eyes. Then let's get coffee. I gestured toward the cafe across the street. It's a long story. As we walked, my phone buzzed with a text from Soleil. Thank you for being there, for everything. I didn't respond immediately. The truth was I hadn't done it for her. I'd done it because the truth needed to be told, all of it from every angle, because sometimes healing starts with ripping off old bandages no matter how much it hurts. Ready? Luna asked, appearing at my side as we reached the cafe. No, I admitted, but I'm going to do it anyway. Because that's what strength really is. Not the absence of fear or pain, but the courage to face them head on. Soleil had finally learned that lesson. Now it was our parents' turn. The nursery walls were still bare as I helped Soleil assemble the crib. Outside, autumn leaves scattered across the lawn of her small rental house, a far cry from her former luxury apartment, but honest living had its price. Logan took a plea deal this morning, she said, handing me a screwdriver. 12 years. I heard. I tightened the last screw. Marcus called me. Did he tell you about the restitution payments? Every month for the next 20 years. I stood up, testing the crib's stability. But you're doing it. Thanks to the job you helped me get. Soleil ran her hand over the simple white railing. Never thought I'd be grateful for data entry work. The doorbell rang. Our parents stood on the porch carrying boxes of baby supplies. The past few months had been a slow rebuild of trust. Weekly dinners, honest conversations, painful revelations finally heard and acknowledged. We found these in the attic, Mom said, setting down a box. Your old baby things, Mara's and Soleil's. Dad pulled out 2 identical stuffed rabbits, worn with age. You two fought over these constantly. Because Soleil always stole mine, I said, but without the old bitterness. I did. Soleil took one of the rabbits. I always wanted what was yours, even when I had the same thing. The ultrasound is tomorrow, Mom asked, unpacking baby clothes. Yes. Soleil touched her rounded belly. Would you come with us, Mara? I hesitated. Supporting Soleil through her pregnancy had been one thing, a human response to someone in need. But this felt more intimate, more like the sisters we used to be. Please, she added softly. I know I don't deserve. Stop saying that. I cut her off. You're doing the work. You're facing consequences. You're trying to be better. That's what matters now. Dad cleared his throat. Speaking of consequences, the business partners you helped expose in Logan's scheme, they're being indicted next week. I know. I helped Mom unpack another box. 3 more victims came forward after Soleil's press conference. And the company? Soleil asked quietly. Dad's reputation is recovering, he said, thanks to Mara's marketing strategy. I'd agreed to help rebuild the family business's image, but on my terms, working as an independent consultant, maintaining my own successful design firm. The nursery needs art, Mom observed, looking at the blank walls. Actually, I pulled out my tablet, opening a design file. I've been working on something. The digital sketches showed a series of watercolor-style murals, 2 rabbits playing under a tree, surrounded by falling leaves and soft lights. Like our old stuffed animals, Soleil whispered, but together instead of fought over. If you want them, I said. Luna and I could paint them this weekend. You'd do that? For my niece? Yes, I set down the tablet. But Soleil, this doesn't mean everything's fixed. I know. She met my eyes steadily. But it means we're trying. All of us. Dad picked up the old rabbits, holding them out to us. Maybe these belong together too, like they were always meant to be. I took mine, or maybe it was Soleil's. After all these years, who could tell? The soft fur felt familiar under my fingers. The baby's kicking, Soleil suddenly said. Here. She reached for my hand. I let her place it on her belly, feeling the strong movement beneath. She's going to be fierce, I said, like her mom learned to be. Like her aunt always was, Soleil corrected. Mom wiped tears from her eyes as she watched us. Dad pretended to be very interested in the crib assembly instructions. What time tomorrow? I asked, stepping back. 10. Soleil clutched her rabbit. You'll come? I'll be there at 9:30. I gathered my things. With coffee. Real coffee for me, decaf for you. At the door, I turned back one last time. The nursery was still a work in progress, like all of us, like our relationships, like the truth we were still learning to tell and accept. Mara, Soleil called. Thank you, not just for tomorrow, for showing me what strength really looks like. I nodded, unable to speak past the sudden tightness in my throat. Because that's what real strength is, not in revenge or punishment, but in the courage to rebuild, to try again, to love carefully and honestly in spite of past wounds. The rabbits sat together on the crib rail, worn and loved, separate but connected. Like us. Not perfect, not completely healed, but finally real.
The email from Knox arrived on a Tuesday morning, right as I was closing a deal worth millions. My hands trembled as I read it, coffee growing cold beside my laptop. After 5 years of peace, his words sliced through my carefully constructed world like a rusted blade. My name is Kendall, and I built my company from nothing but determination and spite. The spite part? That came from Knox, my ex-husband, who spent 6 years telling me I'd never amount to anything without him. Ms. Evans? My assistant's voice crackled through the intercom. The Tokyo investors are waiting in the conference room. Give me 5 minutes, I replied, my voice steadier than my hands. The email glared back at me. Our divorce was never properly finalized. I'm entitled to half of everything you've built. My lawyer will be in touch. I reached for my phone, clicking Riley's number without thinking. My sister answered on the first ring. Hey sis, what's up? He's back. The words caught in my throat. Knox? Riley's voice sharpened. What did that bastard do now? Claims the divorce isn't valid. Wants half my company. I laughed, but it sounded hollow even to me. 6 years of emotional abuse wasn't enough, I guess. Don't you dare let him get to you, Riley said. Remember where you were when you left him? And look at you now. I glanced around my corner office, 40 stories above Manhattan. The view still took my breath away sometimes. I know, but no buts. You're Kendall fucking Evans. You built Horizon Tech from your garage while that asshole was telling you to get a real job. Don't let him shake you. A knock at my door interrupted us. Morgan, my mentor and board member, stepped in. One look at my face, and she knew something was wrong. I've got to go, I told Riley. The Tokyo meeting. Call me after. And Kendall, you've got this. Morgan approached my desk, her heels clicking against the hardwood floor. What happened? I turned my laptop around, showing her Knox's email. Her eyes narrowed as she read. That manipulative son of a bitch, she muttered. Have you called Lexi? Not yet. Just got it. Call her, now. Morgan's tone left no room for argument. I'll handle the Tokyo meeting. Morgan, I can't ask you to. You're not asking. I'm telling. She squeezed my shoulder. Handle this. We both know Knox won't stop here. I nodded, already dialing Lexi's number. My lawyer answered immediately. Knox is trying to claim the divorce isn't valid, I said without preamble. What? Lexi's voice sharpened. That's impossible. I handled everything myself. He says he's got proof. Bullshit. Papers rustled in the background. I've still got all the documentation. Everything was filed correctly. He's fishing. But why now? I pressed my fingers to my temples. Why, after 5 years? Because you just made Forbes' 30 under 40 list, Lexi said flatly. Your company's valued at what? $200 million now? He's opportunistic, Kendall. Always has been. My phone buzzed with another email. This time from Graham, Knox's best friend. Just got another message. It's from Graham. Open it, Lexi ordered. The message was short. Knox asked me to testify about your mental state during the divorce proceedings. I wanted you to know. I haven't given him an answer yet. That bastard, I whispered. He's trying to claim I wasn't competent when I filed. He won't win, Lexi assured me. But Kendall, this is going to get ugly. I thought about the USB drive hidden in my safe at home. The one containing emails between Knox and his mistress from our last year of marriage. The photos. The bank statements showing money he'd siphoned from our joint account to fund their rendezvous. Maybe it's time for ugly, I said quietly. I've got something that could destroy him. Kendall. No, listen. I've spent 5 years taking the high road, building something meaningful, and now he wants to tear it all down? My voice hardened. I'm done being the bigger person. Come to my office, Lexi said after a pause. Bring everything you've got. If we're doing this, we're doing it right. As I gathered my things, my phone lit up with a text from Riley. Remember who you are now. Don't let him make you feel small again. I caught my reflection in the window. Designer suit, confident posture, nothing like the woman who'd fled her marriage with nothing but a suitcase and a dream. Knox wanted a war? Fine. But this time, I wasn't the same woman he'd broken all those years ago. This time, I was ready for him. Riley showed up at my apartment that evening with a bottle of wine and determination in her eyes. She found me sitting cross-legged on my living room floor, surrounded by old papers and photographs. I can't believe you kept all this, she said, settling beside me and examining a photo of Knox with his mistress outside a hotel. I learned from my mistakes. I took the wine glass she offered. The first time he cheated, I had no proof, just my suspicions, which he convinced me were paranoid delusions. God, I wanted to kill him back then. Riley picked up another photo. Who took these? Private investigator. Hired him right after I found the lipstick on Knox's collar. The classic tell, right? I laughed bitterly. Cost me every penny I'd secretly saved, but worth it. My phone buzzed. Morgan. How are you holding up? She asked when I answered. Going through the evidence file. I put her on speaker. Riley's here. Good. Listen, I've been making calls. Knox has been reaching out to investors, trying to create doubt about your stability. My stomach clenched. What exactly is he saying? That you were unstable during the divorce. That you made irrational decisions. He's suggesting you might not be fit to lead the company. Riley's hand found mine and squeezed. That's rich. Coming from the man who told her she was crazy for wanting to start a tech company. Exactly, Morgan said. But here's the thing. He's getting pushback. Your track record speaks for itself, Kendall. 5 years of consistent growth, innovative products, stellar leadership. But, I prompted, hearing the hesitation in her voice. But some people love drama, and Knox is charming when he wants to be. Tell me about it, I muttered, picking up another photograph. This one showed Knox kissing his mistress, now his wife Paisley, in a restaurant. That's how he got me. My doorbell rang. Riley went to answer it while I continued talking to Morgan. We need to be strategic, Morgan advised. Knox is playing dirty, but you have to appear above it all. Lexi's here, Riley called out. My lawyer walked in, briefcase in hand, looking as polished as ever, despite the late hour. "I've reviewed everything," she said without preamble. "The divorce is solid. He's bluffing." "But?" I echoed my earlier question. "But he's filed a civil suit claiming emotional distress and financial manipulation during the divorce proceedings." Lexi sat down, adding to our little circle on the floor. "He's asking for $100 million in damages." "That's insane!" Riley exploded. "It's a negotiating tactic," Lexi explained. "Start high, settle for less. Classic Knox." Morgan's voice came through the speaker. "What's our play?" I reached for the USB drive I'd retrieved from my safe. "I have proof of his affair with Paisley during our marriage. Bank statements showing he funded their trips with our joint account money. Emails where they planned their meetups." "Does Paisley know about these?" Riley asked. "No, I never used them." I twisted my wineglass stem. "I just wanted out back then. Didn't want to fight." "And now?" Lexi raised an eyebrow. "Now he's threatening everything I've built. My company, my reputation, my future." I stood up, pacing. He's counting on me being the same scared woman who left him, the one who avoided conflict at all costs. "Kendall," Morgan's voice was cautionary. "Be careful. Revenge can backfire." "This isn't about revenge." I stopped pacing. "This is about protection. He won't stop until he either gets what he wants or faces consequences he can't charm his way out of." Lexi nodded slowly. "I can file a countersuit. These documents prove financial infidelity during your marriage, plus the emotional abuse allegations." "No." I shook my head. "Legal battles drag on forever. Knox is counting on that. He wants to wear me down." "Then what?" Riley asked. I picked up the photo of Knox and Paisley at the restaurant. "We hit him where it hurts. His perfect new life with his trophy wife, his reputation as a successful businessman, the image he's carefully crafted since our divorce." "You want to expose the affair?" Lexi frowned. "That was years ago." "Sometimes old wounds need to be reopened to heal properly." I sat back down. "Besides, Paisley deserves to know what kind of man she married. The same way I wished someone had warned me." Morgan sighed through the speaker. "If we do this, we need to be smart. Calculated. One wrong move, and it could backfire spectacularly." "I know." I spread the photos out in front of me. "But I'm done being afraid of Knox. He wants to play games? Fine. But this time, I'm not playing by his rules." Riley raised her wineglass. "To karma. To consequences," I corrected, clinking my glass against hers. The game was on, and this time, I had all the right pieces. The next morning, I arrived at Lexi's office to find Graham already waiting there. He looked uncomfortable in his expensive suit, fidgeting with his tie as I walked in. "Thank you for coming," I said, taking the seat across from him. "Knox doesn't know I'm here." Graham leaned forward, lowering his voice despite us being alone. "He's not the same person anymore, Kendall. The success of your company, it's eating at him." "Is that why he asked you to testify about my mental state?" Graham winced. "He's been drinking, a lot. Talking about how you stole his ideas, how the company should have been his." "His ideas?" I couldn't help but laugh. He told me I was delusional when I pitched the initial concept, said tech wasn't a woman's field. The door opened, and Lexi walked in, carrying 2 thick folders. "Sorry I'm late. Traffic was hell." She sat behind her desk, eyeing Graham. "So you're willing to go on record?" "I am." Graham pulled out his phone, scrolling through messages. "Knox has been erratic. Last week, he showed up at my house at 3 a.m., drunk, ranting about how he was going to take it all back." My phone buzzed. A text from Riley. "Morgan just called. Knox is at Horizon Tech, demanding to see you." "Excuse me." I stood up, stepping into the hallway to call Morgan. "He's making a scene," Morgan said immediately. "Security's handling it, but he's threatening to go to the press with evidence of your fraud." "What fraud?" "Exactly. He's grasping at straws, but some reporters are already sniffing around." I walked back into Lexi's office. "Knox is at my company right now, threatening to go to the press." Graham's face paled. He mentioned something about that. He's been meeting with this reporter, feeding her stories about your past. What exactly has he been saying? Lexi demanded. That Kendall was unstable during their marriage. That she stole company ideas from his computer. That she manipulated him into signing the divorce papers while he was grieving his father's death. Graham looked at me apologetically. He's trying to paint you as this calculating manipulator. My phone rang again. This time, it was Knox. Put it on speaker, Lexi mouthed. I answered. What do you want? Your security guards just threw me out of my company. Knox's words were slightly slurred, even at this hour. It's not your company, Knox. Never was. Everything you have is because of me. I supported you while you played entrepreneur in our garage. I paid the bills. With money from our joint account, I interrupted. The same account you used to fund your affair with Paisley. Silence on the other end. Then, you can't prove that. Actually, I can. Every hotel receipt, every fancy dinner, every gift you bought her with our money. I have it all. You're bluffing. But his voice wavered. Want to bet your perfect new life on that? How do you think Paisley would feel about seeing those hotel receipts? The emails? The photos? You wouldn't dare. Try me. I ended the call. Graham stood up, straightening his jacket. He's not going to stop, you know. Not until he either wins or self-destructs. Then self-destruct he will. I turned to Lexi. How do we proceed? She opened one of the folders. First, we file a restraining order based on today's incident. Then, we prepare a cease and desist regarding his fraudulent claims. My phone buzzed with an email. From Paisley. Knox told me you're threatening him with lies about our past, it read. I know what kind of woman you are, trying to destroy our happiness because you couldn't keep your marriage together. I handed the phone to Lexi. Looks like Knox is getting ahead of the story. Perfect, Lexi smiled. He just gave us an opening. What do you mean? He's made it personal by involving Paisley. Now we can respond directly to her. Share our evidence under the guise of setting the record straight. Graham stood up. I should go. Knox will be looking for me soon. He paused at the door. For what it's worth, I'm sorry. I should have said something back then, when I knew what he was doing. After he left, Lexi turned to me. Are you ready for this? Once we start, there's no going back. I thought about Knox's drunken threats, about Paisley's condescending email, about all the nights I'd cried myself to sleep believing I was crazy. Send everything to Paisley, I said. Every photo, every receipt, every email. Let her see who she really married. And Knox? Knox wanted a war. I picked up one of the photos from Lexi's desk. Knox kissing Paisley outside their hotel. Let's give him one. The package arrived at Paisley's office at exactly 10 a.m. I knew because Riley's friend worked in the same building and texted updates. She just opened it, Riley read from her phone as we sat in my office. Her hands are shaking. I stared at my computer screen, trying to focus on work instead of imagining Paisley's face as she went through the evidence. The photos, the receipts, the emails where Knox promised to leave me for her. My phone rang. Knox. You vindictive bitch! He snarled before I could speak. What did you send her? Just the truth, Knox. Something you should have told her years ago. She's hysterical, threatening to leave me. His voice cracked. Is that what you wanted? You did this to yourself. I kept my voice steady. Remember when I was hysterical? When I found that lipstick on your collar and you told me I was imagining things. That was different. No, it wasn't. You're just finally facing consequences. The elevator dinged, and Paisley stormed into my office, mascara streaking down her face. I hung up on Knox. How dare you? She threw the envelope on my desk, photos spilling out. You had no right. Sit down, Paisley. I gestured to the chair. We need to talk. There's nothing to talk about. You're just trying to ruin my marriage because you couldn't keep yours together. Riley stood up. I'll give you two some privacy. Once the door closed, I picked up one of the scattered photos. This was taken 3 months before my divorce,
Knox told me he was at a business conference in Chicago. Were you? Paisley's hands trembled. He said you were separated. We weren't. I pulled out the bank statements. See these hotel charges? That was our joint account. Money we'd saved for a house down payment. Stop it. But she was looking at the documents. Here's an email from Knox, dated 2 weeks before our anniversary. I slid it across the desk. My wife's going to her sister's this weekend. Meet me at our usual place. Paisley's face crumpled. He promised me I was different, that he'd never... My office phone buzzed. Ms. Evans, Mr. Powell is in the lobby, demanding to come up. Don't let him, I replied, then turned to Paisley. He's here. She wiped her eyes. Good. I have something to say to him. Security can stop him. No. She stood up, straightening her shoulders. I need to do this. We rode the elevator down together in silence. Knox was arguing with security when the doors opened. Paisley! He rushed forward, then stopped short seeing me. What did she tell you? Nothing I couldn't see for myself. Paisley's voice was ice. Those hotel receipts? Same places you take me now. Same restaurants. Same lies about business meetings. Baby, I can explain. Like you explained to her? Paisley gestured at me. Called her crazy? Paranoid? What words have you been saving for me, Knox? People were starting to stare. Knox grabbed Paisley's arm. Let's discuss this at home. She yanked away. Don't touch me. I talked to your secretary this morning, asked about your business trip last month. Funny how she didn't know anything about it. The color drained from Knox's face. That's right, Paisley continued. Same pattern, different woman. How many are there, Knox? This is all her fault. Knox pointed at me. She's manipulating you. Photos don't lie. Paisley's voice broke. And neither do credit card statements, or your secretary, or that pretty paralegal from your office who was very chatty once I started asking questions. My phone buzzed. A text from Riley. Graham just called. Knox took out a huge loan against his house last week. He's desperate. Knox turned to me, his face twisted with rage. You've ruined everything! No, Knox. You did that all on your own. I stepped between him and Paisley. Security, please escort Mr. Powell out. As security led him away, still shouting, Paisley turned to me. I'm sorry I didn't believe you. Don't be. I didn't believe it at first either. What do I do now? She looked lost, young. First, you call a lawyer. Then you check your joint accounts before Knox does something stupid. I handed her Lexi's card. She's the best. Paisley nodded, clutching the card like a lifeline. Thank you for showing me the truth before you lost as much as I did. She managed a weak smile. Yeah. As I watched her leave, Riley appeared beside me. You okay? Better than okay? I turned back toward the elevators. But this isn't over. Knox just lost everything he cares about. Making him more dangerous than ever, Riley finished. Exactly. The elevator doors closed. And we need to be ready for whatever he does next. The annual Tech Innovation Gala was in full swing when Graham found me at the bar. Knox is here, he whispered urgently, and he's drunk. I scanned the crowded ballroom. Where? By the stage. He wasn't invited, but he charmed his way past security. Graham's hands fidgeted with his bow tie. He's been telling people he's going to expose the truth during the awards ceremony. Morgan appeared at my elbow, looking elegant in her evening gown. We've got a problem. I know. Knox is here. Worse. She showed me her phone. He's leaked emails to the press, doctored ones, making it look like you stole company ideas from him. My stomach dropped. How bad? Bad enough that 3 investors have already called me. The lights dimmed, signaling the start of the awards ceremony. I was scheduled to give a speech in 20 minutes. The keynote speaker celebrating women in tech. There you are! Riley rushed over, slightly out of breath. Paisley just called. Knox emptied their joint accounts this morning. Every penny. Of course he did. I took a deep breath. He's got nothing left to lose. The first speaker took the stage, her voice echoing through the ballroom. I spotted Knox near the front, swaying slightly, a glass of whiskey in his hand. "What's the play?" Riley asked. I pulled out my phone and forwarded an email to several addresses. Plan B. Ah, are you sure? Morgan's eyes widened. That's everything we have on him. Everything except the financial records Graham gave us yesterday. I turned to Knox's former best friend. Ready to go public? Graham nodded grimly. He deserves what's coming. The host announced my name, and applause filled the room. As I walked to the stage, I could feel Knox's glare burning into me. Thank you, I began, adjusting the microphone. Tonight, we're here to celebrate innovation, determination, and truth. Knox stood up, stumbling slightly. Speaking of truth, I continued, I'd like to address some rumors circulating about Horizon Tech's origins. You stole everything from me, Knox shouted, his words slurring. Security started moving toward him, but I held up my hand. Let him speak. In fact, I think everyone here should hear what Mr. Powell has to say. Knox pushed his way toward the stage. You manipulated me, stole my ideas. Which ideas would those be? I asked calmly. The ones you called ridiculous pipe dreams when I first pitched them? Or maybe the ones you claimed would never work because technology isn't for women? Murmurs rippled through the crowd. I have proof. Knox waved his phone. Emails. Doctored emails. Graham stood up from his table. Knox, stop. I helped you fake those, remember? Last week, when you were desperate for anything to use against her? The whispers grew louder. You're lying! Knox turned to the crowd. She's turning everyone against me. First Paisley, now you. Paisley left because you cheated on her, I interrupted. Just like you cheated on me. The only difference is, she found out before you could gaslight her into believing she was crazy. You bitch! Knox lunged toward the stage. Security grabbed him as phones came out, recording everything. Mr. Powell is having a difficult time, I addressed the shocked audience. You see, he just lost access to his accounts after his wife discovered his multiple affairs. And the loan he took out against their house? I looked directly at Knox. The one you were planning to use to short Horizon Tech's stock? Graham told us all about it. Knox's face went from red to white. Graham? I'm done covering for you, Graham called out. The SEC has everything. The insider trading, the fake accounts, all of it. Security began dragging Knox toward the exit as he shouted, You'll regret this, all of you. I turned back to the microphone. Now, about innovation and determination. 5 years ago, I started Horizon Tech in my garage, with nothing but a dream and the courage to believe in myself, despite those who said I couldn't, despite those who tried to convince me I was worthless. The room erupted in applause. Later, as reporters swarmed asking for comments about Knox's meltdown, Riley hugged me tight. You did it. We did it, I corrected, watching as police officers entered the ballroom. Is that? Morgan nodded. SEC agents. Turns out Graham had quite a story to tell them about Knox's financial dealings. My phone buzzed with a text from Paisley. Thank you for everything. The police just arrested him trying to board a flight to Mexico. It's over. Riley squeezed my hand, but watching the agents collect statements from witnesses, I knew it wasn't quite over. There would be trials, testimonies, more battles ahead. But this time, I wasn't fighting alone, and I wasn't fighting from a place of fear. This time, I was fighting from a place of truth. The morning after Knox's arrest, I sat across from 2 SEC investigators in Lexi's office, watching them review the evidence Graham had provided. This is quite extensive, Agent Martinez said, flipping through bank statements. How long has Mr. Powell been conducting these illegal trades? At least 3 years, Graham answered from his seat beside me. It started small, insider tips to friends. Then he began creating fake accounts under different names. Using his wife's identity, Agent Torres added, holding up a document. Both wives, actually. I leaned forward. What? He opened accounts in your name during your marriage, Torres explained, and recently did the same with Paisley's information. My phone buzzed. A call from the prison. Knox. I declined it for the 3rd time that morning. He's been trying to reach me too, Graham said, noticing my gesture. Left 15 voicemails last night. The office door opened, and Paisley walked in, looking exhausted but determined. Sorry I'm late. Had to meet with my lawyer first. Mrs. Powell. Martinez gestured to an empty chair. Thank you for coming. It's Ms. Rogers now. I filed for divorce this morning. She sat down, pulling out a folder. I brought everything I could find from Knox's home office. Torres opened the folder, eyebrows rising. These are forged documents, attempted transfers from Horizon Tech's accounts. He was planning to drain the company's emergency fund, Paisley explained. Had all the paperwork ready. Just needed to get past their security protocols. My phone buzzed again. This time, a text from Riley. Turn on the news, now. I grabbed the remote from Lexi's desk, switching on the wall-mounted TV. Knox's face filled the screen, an old photo from happier days. Breaking news, tech executive Knox Powell accused of massive financial fraud. Sources say Powell attempted to flee the country after a public meltdown at last night's Tech Innovation Gala. Great, Lexi muttered. The media's running with it. My phone rang again, Morgan this time. The board is calling an emergency meeting, she said when I answered. Knox's accusations about stolen intellectual property. Some investors are nervous. Put it on speaker, Lexi instructed. I did. What exactly are they saying? They're concerned about potential lawsuits. Knox may be in custody, but his claims could still damage the company's reputation. Graham stood up. I can help with that. I have proof Knox never contributed any ideas to Horizon Tech. In fact, he pulled out his phone, scrolling through old messages. I have texts where he mocked the entire concept. The agents exchanged looks. We'll need those messages, Martinez said. Another buzz from my phone. An email from Knox's criminal lawyer. My client is willing to recant all claims against you in exchange for dropping the charges. Don't even think about it, Lexi warned, reading over my shoulder. I wasn't going to. Paisley leaned forward. There's something else you should know. Last week, Knox met with a journalist, promised her proof that Kendall was mentally unstable during their marriage. My hands clenched. Let me guess. More forged documents? Medical records, Paisley confirmed. He had them doctored to show psychiatric hospitalizations that never happened. That's a federal offense, Torres noted, writing something down. My phone buzzed yet again. A text from an unknown number. You think you've won? I still have friends. Powerful ones. This isn't over. I showed it to the agents. Add witness intimidation to the list, Martinez sighed. He's desperate, Graham said. When Knox feels cornered, he lashes out. Always has. Which makes him dangerous, Lexi added. The TV caught my attention again. Sources close to Powell suggest he may have been involved in other fraudulent activities across multiple businesses. The SEC investigation is ongoing. They have no idea, Graham muttered. But they will, I said, turning to the agents. I want to make a statement. Go public with everything. Kendall, Lexi cautioned. The media attention, will happen anyway. Better they hear the truth from me than Knox's lies from someone else. Paisley nodded. I'll back you up. Tell them how he operates, how he manipulates people. Me too, Graham added. It's time everyone knew who Knox really is. My phone buzzed one final time. Another prison call. But this time, I answered. Ready to negotiate? Knox asked, his voice smug even now. Actually, yes. I met Lexi's eyes, getting her nod of approval. I'm about to go public with everything. Every scheme, every lie, every manipulation. Unless what? The smugness wavered. Unless you sign a full confession, take responsibility for everything, leave me, my company, and Paisley out of your lies. And why would I do that? Because right now, you're looking at 20 years. Cross me again, and I'll make sure it's 40. Silence on the line. Then, you've changed. No, Knox. I just stopped being afraid of you. I hung up, turning to the agents. Shall we begin? The courthouse buzzed with tension as Knox was led in, wearing an orange jumpsuit instead of his usual designer suits. Our eyes met across the room, and for the first time, I saw something new in his expression. Defeat! All rise! The bailiff called out. Riley squeezed my hand as we stood. Paisley sat 2 rows behind us, Graham beside her. The past week of media coverage had taken its toll on all of us, but today would end it. Before we proceed with sentencing, the judge began, Mr. Powell has indicated he wishes to make a statement. Knox stood slowly, his handcuffs clinking. Your Honor, He paused, looking around the courtroom. I've had time to reflect in custody, to realize the damage I've caused. Here comes the performance, Riley whispered. Kendall, Knox turned toward me. I apologize for the years of emotional abuse, for making you doubt your sanity, for cheating on you and then trying to destroy everything you built. The judge interrupted. Mr. Powell, are you confirming the allegations of psychological abuse? Yes, Your Honor. Knox's voice cracked. I manipulated her, gaslit her, made her believe she was crazy. When she succeeded without me, I couldn't handle it. I tried to tear her down again. Paisley let out a soft sob behind me. And to my current wife, ex-wife, Knox corrected himself, I apologize for continuing the pattern, for the affairs, the lies, the financial fraud in your name. Mr. Powell, the judge leaned forward. You understand these admissions will be part of the record? I do. Knox straightened his shoulders. I also want to state, for the record, that Horizon Tech was entirely Kendall's creation. I never contributed any ideas or intellectual property. My claims were false, motivated by revenge and greed. The journalist who'd been writing hit pieces about me scribbled furiously in her notebook. Furthermore, Knox continued, I admit to forging medical records, attempting to manipulate the stock market, and planning to embezzle company funds. I acted alone, except where I coerced others through manipulation or threats. The judge nodded. Given your confession and cooperation with the SEC investigation, this court accepts the plea agreement. Mr. Powell, you are hereby sentenced to 12 years in federal prison, with no possibility of parole for 8 years. The gavel struck, and reality hit me. It was really over. Knox turned to face me one last time as officers approached to lead him away. Kendall? I stood, walking to the barrier separating us. Yes? That night in our garage, when you first told me your business idea. He swallowed hard. You were right. I was wrong. You were never crazy. I was just afraid you'd realize you didn't need me. I know, I said quietly, for what it's worth. He glanced at the officers waiting to take him away. Watching you succeed was like dying slowly. Each achievement was a reminder of what I'd lost, what I'd thrown away. That's called consequences, Knox. He nodded. I know that now. The officers took his arms. Take care of yourself, Kendall. You deserve it. As they led him away, Paisley approached me. Did you believe him? The apology? Does it matter? I suppose not. She wiped her eyes. The money he stole from me. I don't think I'll ever see it again. Actually, I turned to face her fully. I have a proposition for you. Horizon Tech is launching a new division. We need someone with your expertise in marketing. Her eyes widened. Are you offering me a job? I'm offering you a fresh start, like the one I had to make 5 years ago. Riley joined us, grinning. Plus, it'll drive Knox crazy, knowing you're working for Kendall. He'll have a lot of time to think about it, Graham added, approaching our group. 12 years. Outside the courthouse, reporters swarmed us. Ms. Evans, how do you feel about the sentence? Ms. Rogers, will you be keeping Mr. Powell's name? Mr. Hoffman, are you worried about professional repercussions? I stepped up to the microphones. Today isn't about Knox Powell. It's about truth prevailing over manipulation, about standing up to abuse in all its forms, and most importantly, about moving forward. What's next for Horizon Tech? Someone shouted. I smiled, putting an arm around Paisley. Growth, innovation, and helping others rebuild their lives after surviving similar situations. Later that evening, as Riley, Paisley, Graham, Morgan, and I sat in my apartment sharing wine. My phone buzzed one last time. A text from Lexi. Knox signed all the paperwork. It's officially over. To new beginnings? Riley raised her glass. To karma, Paisley added. To truth, Graham offered. To healing, Morgan suggested. I looked around at these people who'd stood by me, who'd helped me fight back, who'd believed in me. To freedom, I said, raising my glass, and to never letting anyone make us doubt ourselves again. The city lights twinkled beyond my windows, and for the first time in years, I felt completely, utterly free. The morning sun streamed through my office windows as I reviewed the final draft of my memoir. Riley sat across from me, reading her own copy, while Paisley paced nervously behind us. Are you sure about this? Paisley asked. Publishing everything? The advance copies are already out, I replied, turning a page. No turning back now. My phone buzzed. A text from Graham. Knox saw the book announcement. He's requesting a meeting. Delete, Riley said, not looking up from her copy. You don't owe him anything. Actually, I set down the manuscript. I want to see him. Paisley stopped pacing. Why? Because this needs a proper ending, for all of us. The prison visiting room was cold and sterile. Knox sat across from me, thinner now, prison life etched into his face. The advance copy of my book lay between us on the metal table. Beautiful Lies, a story of survival and success. He read the title. Subtle. I thought about calling it How My Ex-Husband's Abuse Made Me a Millionaire, but my publisher thought that was too on the nose. A ghost of his old smile flickered. You always were better with words than me. He tapped the book. Your sister sent me excerpts. It's honest. That's the point. The part about our first date. He shifted uncomfortably. When I told you your dreams were too big for a small-town girl, I didn't realize how much that hurt you. You didn't realize a lot of things, Knox. No, I didn't. He opened the book to a marked page. But this part, about the night you left, you wrote that you felt both terrified and free, that it was like breathing for the first time. It was. I read that section 7 times. His hands trembled slightly, trying to understand how I became someone who could make another person feel that way. My phone vibrated. A message from Morgan. Today's stock prices just came in. We hit a new record high. Knox noticed my small smile. Good news? Horizon Tech just broke another record. I watched his reaction carefully. The company you said would fail within a year. I was wrong about everything. He closed the book. The reviews say this will be a bestseller. That's not why I wrote it. I know. He met my eyes. You wrote it for other women. Women like you and Paisley, so they'll recognize the signs faster than you did. Yes. How is she, Paisley? Thriving. She's heading our new marketing division. Turns out she's brilliant when she's not being told to doubt herself. Knox flinched. I deserve that. You deserve a lot of things, Knox. But this isn't about punishment anymore. It's about healing. Is that why you came today? To heal? I came to tell you I forgive you. His head snapped up. What? Not for you, for me, because holding on to that anger was exhausting. I don't deserve forgiveness. No, you don't, but I deserve peace. A guard approached, signaling our time was ending. Knox stood awkwardly. The book. Will you sign my copy? I took the book and pen he offered. On the title page, I wrote, The truth sets us all free, even those who tried to bury it. Back at the office, Riley and Paisley were waiting with Morgan and Lexi. A bottle of champagne sat on my desk. How was it? Riley asked cautiously. Surprisingly peaceful. I picked up my copy of the book. Ready for tomorrow's launch? The pre-orders are incredible, Morgan reported. Your story is already inspiring people. The domestic violence hotline mentioned in the acknowledgments has received hundreds of calls since the advance reviews came out. Good, I said softly. That's exactly what I hoped for. Paisley raised her glass. to turning pain into purpose. To breaking silence, Lexi added. To building something beautiful from something broken, Riley offered. I looked around my office, at the women who'd become my strength, at the empire I'd built from ruins, at the book that would help others find their way out of darkness. To truth, I said, raising my glass, the most powerful weapon we have. My phone buzzed one final time, a message from an unknown number. Your book saved my life. I'm leaving him tonight. Thank you for showing me it's possible. I smiled, looking out at the city skyline. Knox had tried to make me small, but in doing so, he'd forced me to discover just how big I could become. Sometimes the worst things in our lives lead us to our greatest purpose, and that's a truth worth telling.